good when your opponent has a fire monster in their graveyard. And we saw Ramo got that Ash Blossom and Joy Spring into the graveyard through the effect that Has was forcing there. And then we did not use the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring though to go into Vegeta. Therefore Vegeta and the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring were on the field at the same time before using the effect of it though. And therefore we couldn't use the effect of Heater anymore as there was nothing in the graveyard and we just linked it off without using the effect there. Alright, now also not using the effect of Sunlight Wolf, interestingly enough. Has going up into Decode Talker Heat Soul. So it is going to be rather minimalistic what we're seeing here. Just a Heat Soul and 2 sad cards. And Ramo, we don't really know yet what he's on. He's going to be up against that. Oh my, we're going to see some Plant.
Yeah, so Plant with Ragnarika has been a highlight of recent Master Duel decks just because the consistency offered by it is really strong and the fact that it can play through so many disruptions. I know that you've seen a lot of this in the TCG. I would ask you to explain it, but I know that it's not that simple. So if you have anything you can offer us in terms of highlighting specific interactions,
for sure,
something like this.
I mean, I've been seeing a lot of Plant gameplay for sure, and therefore, at some point when you see it so often, you do become somewhat of an expert with it. But now we have to play through the Maxi resolving from Has side. But I think Ramo, and we're seeing it, he's fully in the motions. He's just going to commit into this Maxi. He just don't mind it.
That's what I respect about it, is that it just does its own thing, regardless of the situation that's currently facing. It plays through disruptions, whether that's Maxi, whether that's Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and the Sun Vine Healer now coming out as well, continuing to build upon this. Ramo actually in a pretty good position, all things considered.
He gets to at least use his combo here the way he likes it. The Sun Vine Healer did gain him life points, and that triggered the effect of the Jasmine, and Jasmine then was able to just search from the deck. Now, the important graveyard effect of the Sowing came in. Sun Vine Sowing, when a Plant monster is being destroyed by a card effect, a Link monster to be specific, you can just banish it to protect it. So the Princess did only destroy a monster from Has, but not from Ramo. Now the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring on the Librea. We were probably trying to get the Ethereum Disc Colosseum there, and that Disc Colosseum would have brought us the almighty
Burying King Regulus.
Exactly, and that would have been an Omni Negate, so maybe has an Nibiru here, because he's trying to make sure there is no Omni Negate for Ramo available. Oh, that is an effect. You don't see that often. Fire King Sanctuary trying to exceed summon here on the opponent's turn.
So we have level 8 and level 8, so theoretically that could indeed access the Garunix in the extra deck.
Well, there it is. Look at him doing it.
Fire King Garunix, Hyang of the Fire Kings available. So sorry, Garunix Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings available.
Yeah, the name is not that important, but the effect is very much... Wow, we just cleaned the entire field, but still, the Plant deck has so many pushes. There is the Evil Seed. The Evil Seed is being special summoned out by discarding one. We get to search out the Bloom as well, Ragnaraka Bloom, the continuous spell card, which is going to net us another monster, but we do have Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to stop it here from Has side.
Yeah, the downside of giving so many cards through Maxi, we mentioned in the first game we saw the amount of disruptions now available. But Ramo continuing to play through it. We've seen the Ragnaraka, we've seen the Sun Avalon, we've seen the Aromatherapy, now the Rika components of this deck are showing up.
Oh yeah, and we do get Rika Glamour, and we could just tribute the opponent's monster, and that's what we do through the field spell, the fact of the Rika Concon. We just tribute it, and we search 2 cards instead of 1 for that. So Ramo, with an empty field ahead of him, has, through the effect of Decode Heat Soul, Decode Talker Heat Soul twice, down to 6,000 life points, so Ramo might be closer and closer to getting the win here. There is the Dance Peon. Oh, Dance Peon is always a little bit of a lucky moment because you're getting to reveal 3 cards. And if they're plants or reptiles, you get to splash and summon them out, and there's none of that. All 3 go to the graveyard, and we just have to head into the battle phase. Yeah. So Has is going to see another turn here.
If we could have special summoned them, we could have link climbed further. And now Called by the Grave is going to run further disruption here.
Yep, we did use the effect of Sunseed Twin in the graveyard, and that would be able to bring a Dryas to the field, but not if we do use Called by the Grave on the Dryas beforehand. So Has now approximately 15 cards in hand. They're facing 1 sad card, special summoning out Diabolical of Black, which I think it's looking alright for Has right now. Setting that wanted and activating Kirin now. destroying a Flambird from the hand, meaning we can trigger in the graveyard. Also alongside that, Garunix is being triggered in the graveyard, and I think Garunix will try to destroy Kirin here, and we will try to go after the set card very quickly.
At the start of the day, we mentioned the resilience of the Snake Eye Fire King deck. You're seeing the resilience from the plant deck too, but ultimately that Snake Eye Fire King consistency, that ability to rebuild regardless of the situation you find the field in, is so good. And Haas now showing exactly why that's so good. Garunix, Eternity, Hyang of the Fire Kings coming back, 8,000 plus damage on the field right now. Haas looking to close this one out.
And there it is, Haas getting into this tournament with a positive start, 1-0, still a long way to go, but of course that's how you want to have your tournament day started, and he's off to the races as Mortis, so they would be a potential match for the next round then.
Indeed, and I think that is actually how we want to see a tournament start as well, just completely back and forth, really great skill expression from both players there, just fantastic gameplay all around. Plant versus Snake Eye Fire King.
Yeah.
Very experienced matchup for you, right?
From my personal experience, I gotta say, the first rounds sometimes are a little bit of a struggle for me at least, because you're still a little tired, you didn't wake up that long ago, so you're a little rusty, you're not really super deep into your combo, you're still a bit sleepy, but Haas probably didn't have any trouble with that, because he executed very well there. Even though on the first turn I was telling you, the Hita, when the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring from the opponent still was on the field, I think that was a little bit of a misstep maybe, but he managed just fine. He managed just okay, and he was ultimately getting where he wanted to get.
And again, you see Maxi putting pressure on the opposing player to finish the game in that turn. So you see the greedier plays such as the Sylvan Dunspeon to try and link climb further, and ultimately it doesn't pay off, and Haas does progress with a 1-0 record in the Swiss stage.
Yeah, still, as I said, a long way to go, but absolutely the way you want to start things off. And again, as explanation for the tournament mode, for Challenger Cups, and that is still at the end of the day a very special Challenger Cup, but a Challenger Cup, there is no restrictions on your deck. So we might have played Fire King Snake Eye here, but for example, Haas is super well known to play those 60 cards, T-Element, Snake Eye decks as well, and all those kind of cards, Horus cards thrown in there too, sometimes even Tempai cards nowadays. So you might just see him switch it up, and that's for all of the other players. You can always pick a new deck for every round.
Just mentioning that as well though, seeing Plant being played here, oftentimes the duelists that do commit to that strategy tend to stick with it just because
very true.
It's playable into any matchup, but it takes a lot of effort and time to learn, but it's so rewarding once you're able to do it. We saw combo line after combo line, even if it didn't work out, and actually that has been a really great game to get things started.
For sure. You gotta say the Aroma cards that were recently released, they really did the most for the deck, I think. The Ragnaraka stuff was also really good, and the combination of both of them together really brought Plant back to a level where it's just a top meta contender, if you ask me. You don't see it that often. That's mainly due to its high skill ceiling. Like a lot of people are just shying away from it a little bit because there's so many things going on. You have to learn so many things and you have to play it so much. But if you are playing it that much, you get to a level with it, you're just free to go to play one of the strongest combo decks in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh!
You think we'll see much more Plant in the later stages of this?
If we have some prominent Plant players available, possibly, yeah. There is some people that just like to play this deck, and they're really good with that. So I wouldn't be surprised overall, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we see another game, because I've heard we have another match to look into, so let's go over there, and we do see Naruto selecting to go second. Okay, that's something very interesting, because that immediately means we're going to see Tenpai, but there also is some Mathmech gaming from Wintry on the other side.
I know you're a big fan of the Mathmech.
Yeah, you could say so for sure. I do like the deck.
Having lost to your Mathmech recently with Infinable, a little bit unlucky there. But actually a little bit unlucky perhaps for Naruto here, as we do see Wintry comboing off the XCs is starting Prime Mathmech. Alembe Tien is now here.
I think Naruto is fine. He just hears off Maxi. He doesn't really care about the Diameta here either. And now in the end phase we even have Magnum, which is a crazy good card against Mathmech, because it is giving you the ability to play around the super Factorial.
Would one card there make all the difference? Was it justifiable to Ash that Maxi?
I think so, yeah. You just want to keep them on low cards. You already had in resources. You're trying to end the game next turn anyway, so just keep it as low as possible for Wintry. So I think that was definitely a justifiable Ash Blossom and Joy Spring there. And we're picking up another Sangan Kaimen here. Let's see where this is going. And that is going to be possibly a Baron de Fleur coming down. Not many decks can do that, but sometimes Tenpai has access to just bringing out Baron de Fleur before going into our so impactful Tenpai cards. And there is infinite impermanence on Pydra, which would be good if there would not also be the Sangan Kaimen already waiting there in hand. Battle phase it is, and I feel like this battle phase is going to be the last phase we're seeing from his duel here.
And we are seeing the power of the Tenpai Dragon here. We're seeing how it can deal with established fields, and we're seeing how it can get monster after monster out. The battle phase is explosive. The Tenpai Dragon is going for it. Zero attack with the Tenpai Dragon Genroku, but it doesn't matter. 1500, 1500, 1600, 1700, and a synchro summon on top of that. Level 7 Sangenpai Bident Dragon now looking to close this one out. 700 life points on Wintry. This is it.
That is the Tenpai way of life, and Naruto didn't even bother changing his team name from yesterday, right? He still has that P1 in front of his username there, so apparently he was playing yesterday for the 3v3 with his team, didn't manage to pull through, but today he came in and he tries another time, is going to be playing yesterday, but also today, and he's off to a good start today now, as well as another player being with a win for the first round.
So tell me a bit about the Mathmech deck there, because we didn't really get to see it do too much. We did see Tenpai do exactly what was promised before with that super explosive battle phase, just closing it out, and again, dealing with an established field like that deck does so well. Tell me about Mathmech and that strategy.
Two things about Mathmech that really stand out. First of all, it does not have a crazily big engine, so you're allowed to play like a lot of hand interactions. Usually that was the original deck to play like 20 plus hand interactions, which is really, really good. And then second of all, you do have access to one of the most powerful game enders in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is the big access code Talker.
I thought you were talking about Geomathmech Final Sigma.
Of course, there would also be an opportunity to use that. Some players play that in Mathmech, some players even have cut that card. But I think the combination of that and then combining access code Talker with Update Jammer, it has just been a game ender for so long now, and I think that's what made Mathmech strong in the beginning. Now their newest tool, which is especially good against Tenpai, is the Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, or Terahertz, and that actually has that continuous effect of negating monster effects in the battle phase. And as we just saw, Tenpai Dragons, they love to and they need to use their monster effects in the battle phase, so that's an additional reason to play the deck at the moment.
So Tenpai Dragon we were very much expecting to see coming into this, you know, looking at yesterday, looking at recent duels in Master Duel. But I would also just like to ask about, you know, we've seen Snake Eye Fire King, we've seen Duel now. Anything else you're expecting to see? I mean, Labyrinth is one given yesterday, but anything else you're expecting to see later today?
Sky Strikers. No, that's just a personal wish. I don't think we're necessarily going to see it, but I would love to see it, of course. But realistically, a deck that I was missing yesterday, that I'm expecting to actually be on top of the competition at the moment, would be something along the lines of a Centurion deck. Because Centurion was really not represented at all yesterday. It now even has the ability to also be combined with the White Forest cards. So I think one of those Centurion decks is probably going to come up today, and it's going to show that it's still a very big part of the meta game right now.
Yeah, exactly. Centurion benefiting just as much as the runic cards from the addition of the White Forest.
Yeah. But we do have another game to go into, so let's go back into the client and let's see another game for this first round. And we do have Justinian playing against... Ooh, that's a nice deck I see here from Justinian. Against Basala. Ooh, don't you remember Basala from yesterday? Exactly, that was our Emancipator player. But apparently his friends and teammates have convinced Basala that today he is a Tenpai Dragon player. So we do have the matchup of the Duel right deck, though, against Tenpai.
Really dangerous when both Opening of the Spirit Gates and Nightmare Throne are in hand, because even if you Ash Blossom and Joy Spring one of them, The other is a one-card starter in and of itself as well, but Cross out designated now, coming through. Gonna get rid of a Maxi from the deck of Justinian, but gonna prevent the Maxi from Basala, and now Justinian is free to special summon. We've seen how many special summons this UL deck can get off in that first feature game from Mordred. Now let's see where we go from here. Sprite Elf, Sprite Starter, the Sprite Engine doing so much work. Sprite Blue even now, further climbing and accessing further cards.
Honestly, I think this is more of a Sprite deck than a Yubel deck, to be honest. You do play the Phantom of Yubel in the extra deck, but besides that, not that much. And I think due to the Nightmare Throne being cut off here, I don't even expect any Yubel cards on the end field at all, so this is just going to be a regular Sprite combo, and I mean, it's a cool overlay between the two decks. Dark Beckoning Beast, one of the key parts of any Yubel deck, but of course, it is a level 2 monster, so you might as well combine it with the best level 2 deck in the game, which is still, to this day, Sprite, and therefore the combination of those two engines just makes sense. Now bringing out Cap Shell, linking it off to get an extra draw, and passing on a formidable field here once more.
Yep, you mentioned how the level 2 deck of the Sprite is really potent. One of the most potent rank 2s as well in that deck, but one of the most impactful Link 2 rating cards, IP Masquerena there, allowing itself to get linked off to further combo later on. The Forbidden Droplet now going to do something to the monster effects on the field currently.
Yep, we're going to make sure that the Sprite Elf is negated and cannot bring back the good old reliable IP Masquerena again, but that's just a lonely fodder there. There's nothing it can bring back, so attacking over the Sprite Elf and hoping that there is not enough follow-up for Justinian. But we do know that there still is the opening of the Spirit Gates, immediately able to bring back the Cap Shell. Those two together, once more, and easily make up for a second copy of Gigantic Sprite, possibly. There it is. But now we gotta see how big the Sprite engine really is. There is another Sprite Blue. What else is there to search? There is another Sprite Chat. Okay, so the Sprite engine apparently is pretty big, and that was enough to be seen there.
And as you mentioned, even though it was running the UBAL components, that was first and foremost a Sprite deck.
Yeah, at the end of the day it was. So I think it is really cool that you have that engine available with the Yubel cards, because you're just going for the Yubel cards, and then, as we know, the Phantom of Yubel only requires you to have a Yubel card and then a Dark Beckoning Beast in your graveyard to summon it out. So you just go, link off the Yubel stuff, and then in the end put a Phantom of Yubel on top of your field. Which is pretty nice. But one thing that you have to consider there, of course, is you can lock yourself into level 2. So if you go for Gigantic Sprite or Sprite Starter too early, you can't really summon out the Phantom of Yubel anymore at the end of the combo.
I was pleasantly surprised to see it, honestly. Like, seeing the variety of decks on offer, but not only that, seeing the variables being implemented into these, we saw UBAL deck earlier, we've seen a completely different UBAL deck this time around. Really cool to see, and really promising, because it bodes well for the rest of this tournament.
Very much. And the Sprite engine is a really good engine to combine with other decks, you gotta say. Because, for example, our winner from yesterday, one of the players from FNS, was Bronas. And Bronas has been in the first season of Challenger Cups even. He was the guy known to just combine Sprite with all kind of things. He played Hurley Sprite, he played Sky Striker Sprite, he even played, I think he went as absurd as playing... there was something I can't remember anymore, but I'm sure he would also be into the Yubel Sprite deck now as well.
Yeah.
And that is going to be, very exciting.
And that will indeed be a wrap on round 1. As we progress into round 2, we will follow the players that are currently 1-0 up in the standings, and already making good headway towards that top cut at the end of the day.
All right. So do we go for a little break, or do we just keep on going here right now?
I think we keep on going, actually.
All right, then let's keep on going. So we do have the round 1 finishing up here, but we're waiting right now to set up the second round. So let's have a little bit more about a chat. Let's go back to yesterday, maybe, with all the decks that we saw yesterday. What was your personal standout favorite? I know, very sadly, we didn't see Infernoble. Someone in today's tournament, please play Infernoble for Hybris. But what deck did you enjoy the most?
Again, I've spoken time and time again about how cool the Labyrinth deck was, just because the flashiness of the simultaneous equation cannons and the destructive Daruma Karma cannon off of the trap trick. Just the fact that these cards were able to turn the tables so dramatically was really, really cool to see. Almost as cool as the plant deck that we saw earlier actually managed to play through the Snake Eye Fire.
Fair enough.
And just keeping that back and forth going. But we spoke about Sprite decks being about level 2s, rank 2s. Well, we're now into round 2 here, as Vera has selected to go first against Quantal.
Oh, the one and only. Yesterday, losing in top 32 of his team, but he's back and he's facing another yugioh deck now in the competition. So it is going to be immediately an infinite impermanence on the Spirit of Yugioh there, though. So we're stopping that. Good to stop access to Nightmare Pain.
Yes, indeed, Spirit of Yugioh now just sitting there. Vera still 4 cards in hand, ready to follow up. Will be really interesting to see what exactly it is that Quantal is playing. I think Vera chose to go first themselves, and therefore, perhaps Quantal isn't indeed on the 10 by Dragon strategy that would favor going second. Where does the Yugioh deck go from here now that one disruption has been committed?
He's really having to think about this one. A common thing to see is that you just use the infinite impermanence immediately on the summon of Samsara Lotus, but that is very possible, easily punishable, because if you just have a way to get another monster onto the field and then link off the Samsara Lotus, you can just later on bring it back and then you can still use the effect. So I agree with Quantal to just use the infinite impermanence on that Spirit of Yugioh there.
One Phantom of Yugioh going to come to the field here just to offer some form of disruption, a face down as well, but it looks like the turn is being passed. Quantal now, the onus is on him to overcome what is not too scary a field so far.
Yeah, I think Quantal can manage, especially if he's on that 10 by Dragon strategy, maybe just immediately with a Raigeki or something like that. Infinite impermanence number 2, now also taking care of the Phantom of Yugioh.
So very crucial that this is being used first, so it could be activated straight from the hand on this turn and nullify that. Fire King Courtier, all mechanics now suggest this is Snake Eye Fire King, and right now, without that disruption of the Phantom of Yugioh, Vera really hoping to have Max C or Ash Blossom Joy Spring in the hand to stop Snake Eye Fire King from doing its thing. There is one, but do we have a call by the grave from Quantal?
Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, possibly the best thing you could have here against that. Oh, but there is the crossout designator instead. That's huge. It is going to stop the Ash Blossom, because I was about to say Ash Blossom would have been crazily good because you can't dodge it with Kirin. Effect Veiler and Infinite Impermanence, a Chain Kirin can always be such a big punishment, but against the Ash Blossom, it's always going to negate. It's not going to negate here though due to the crossout designator.
Yeah, crossout designator, called by the grave, both fulfilling the same role of just acting as insurance against these disruptions. Now Fire King Courtier, all mechanics going to get the combo started. Runic actually being sent there as well. Does suggest the Fire King deck is off to a fantastic start. Legendary Fire King Ponix being added to the hand as well. Let's see where we go from here.
I don't know whether we're off to that good of a start, because we're usually want that Runics in our deck to special summon out when the Ulcanix is destroyed, but now it was in our opening hand, so... That is not going to happen anymore, as you only play one of that in your...
Here. So you can go into the Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze, and then in turn bring back that Ash Blossom, as you mentioned, and then go into Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames and get things started all over again. Thanks to that revive. Where does Quantal go from here? He has many options available. That Phantom of Yugioh is still negated by the Infinite Impermanence from earlier. A lot on offer for Quantal here. Battle phase actually going to be committed to, though.
We do go into the battle phase, interestingly enough, yeah, so that is just going to be attacking over the Phantom of Yugioh. And now possibly just in the main phase to Van go for that Hita line that I was talking about. Oh, we're just going to go for SP Little Knight then possibly, I think. Because that is going to be... Wait, is that Typhon? Oh, it's Linkuriboh.
Linkuriboh into SP to get the banish onto the ultimate view bell.
Yeah, I was just wondering how we even go into Linkuriboh there, but of course Ulcanix, when it's resolving its effect, and it did resolve its effect in the end, has become a level 1 monster, so we could use it as a link material for the Linkuriboh there. But that is just going to be the classic SP pass here for Quantal. 2 cards in hand for Ver. Is one of them going to be good enough to get Ver going here? Because that is not super scary for Quantal here. Last card in hand. Oh, we're waiting in the standby phase. Does Quantal possibly have a Maxi in his hand there? Oh no, the Garunix triggers, of course. It was destroyed, therefore it summons itself back. And we're going to... we're going to destroy our own SP Little Knight here. We can chain the Little Knight, but we don't even do that. Little Knight is gone. Just a Garunix here for Quantal. Yeah, does Ver have a play? Because now the field is even less impressive. That probably is the explanation why Quantal didn't continue to combo that much, because he knew his field would be eliminated anyways at some point in that next standby phase. So Ver, do they have an answer? It doesn't take much for a yugioh deck to get going. Is there a Dark Beckoning Beast or some Sari Lotus? I think if there would be, we would have at this point already seen it on the field.
And I think this is a case of both players really committing a lot in their first turns, and now we just see them at a standoff here. Quantal now being able to draw. Can we see one card start the combo for the Fire King Snake Eye?
He does still have the Ponyx in hand, I'm pretty sure.
I think
we
so,
searched
yes.
Ponyx in the last turn, so we just decided not to bring it out, and therefore that is pretty much the best starter you could have here. Ponyx just grabbing out V. Okay, we drew Poplar though. Poplar even better than in that case, so we go for the normal summon of Snake Eye Poplar instead. And I mean that Garunix, it did destroy the SP Little Knight, but when it comes down to pure raw attack point value, it is pretty much better than the SP now on the field with 2700 there. But original Sinful Spoils is being added off of the Poplar first of all. And next up, we are probably going to access a second copy of that Ponyx just from our deck then eventually through that original Sinful Spoils that we had there. Now the
There
Hita.
is the Hita line that you mentioned. By getting the Ash Blossom back and then climbing into Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, we have access to a whole graveyard full of fire monsters.
That is correct. Ver, it seems like there is a bit of a delay, so I would expect Ver to maybe have something there in their hand that they could use. Oh, maybe here? Maybe is it an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring? No, Oak just comes out freely here. So we do have the opportunity to now bring back the Poplar from the graveyard again. And that is also what we're going to do. We do have free zones available with the Hita, so we can just use our opponent's graveyard now as our playing tool too. And Quantal, after not pulling through yesterday with his team, you could feel, like, when texting with him, you could feel that he's eager to just show off today. He's like, okay, we weren't able to do it yesterday, but now today is the day I'm not going to do any mistakes. And I mean, Quantal, not only a world champion, of course, and second place finisher of this year's world championship, we previously had a different edition where we also invited people to a live final, basically, or to a live trip at the very least, through the Tokyo Dome event. And Quantal also qualified there in the 1v1, so maybe he just is a qualifier for 1v1 events. Maybe he just can rely on himself the best, and that's what he's trying to do today.
And there is the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames that Quantal does rely on, but there is another Infinite Impermanence, 2 apiece of both of these players so far in this game, and it's only turn 4.
And that is a very well hold Infinite Impermanence by Ver, because we didn't bother using it on the Oak. We didn't bother using it on the Poplar beforehand. We just held it for so long because we always aware there is going to be a Hita coming down eventually. So we wanted to make sure that we use it after the Hita actually happened. So that's going to be interesting for Quantal. What can we even do with that? We're going for a Link 4, or is it going to be a Link 4? Yes, it is the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix here. Oh, true. Oh, yeah. That might be one of the variations of the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix Zealantis line, because you can just go into Nightmare Phoenix here, and Nightmare Phoenix plus Zealantis is already enough and already all you need, and would be 8,000 points of damage if we do go for that now. So there is Vigilantes. That looks like a Link 2 to me. So are we producing a fire monster with that? A very prominent level 2 fire monster or Link 2 fire monster? It is the Nightmare Phoenix into the battle phase. And we're now going to see how that exactly turns out. There is no Spirit of Evil in hand to stop it. So we will just go ahead, attack directly with both. Now we get to destroy the Nightmare Phoenix in the battle phase through the effect of Zilantis, triggering the Raging Phoenix in the graveyard.
And Raging Phoenix will come back with enough attack to finish this game. One tool, he makes his comeback against an established Duel field, and he's able to take down Vera here. Salamangreat, Raging Phoenix. And Sacrificing Garena.
Yeah, why not? Let's bring him out as well. There was a card destroyed, so we may as well. The good old Raging Phoenix would have been enough on its own, but Quandle is like, yeah, come on. I have it available, so why not? So we're just going to show off here. We're on feature. Let's show Ibris and Lampy a bit more about my deck. And there even is a Pawning still waiting in hand. Let's bring the entire Fire King family to the field. Why not, shall we?
The 3600 damage attack actually is just enough to cleanly finish the game.
Yeah, that's always like, back in the day in the older games, you always had those extra accomplishments by finishing the game exactly on the dot on 0. So it's always still very rewarding to me personally, when I can attack for game with the exact amount needed. And no, Quandle, you messed it up. You're still attacking with the Raging Phoenix. How dare you? But still going to net him the win. Quandle off to a very, very, very strong start with a 2-0 record now.
Yep. Round 2 now proceeding as well. Just really strong gameplay so far. I actually believe we will show you another game from that very shortly. But yeah, Fire King Snake Eye still the deck to beat. Even if we've seen Yubel stand against it again, even if we've seen Tenpai Dragon do its thing, Fire King Snake Eye is still reigning supreme.
Yeah, maybe Quandle actually took some inspiration from yesterday, right? Because it was performing super well yesterday. Yesterday he himself rather played Ritual Beast and Voiceless Voice. So today he decided, hey, maybe I gotta do what the others are doing to qualify for this tournament there. So he's in here now with the Snake Eye Fire King deck himself. And we do have more people being in the tournament now for round 2 as well. And we do have a set free from there. Do we have the first Labyrinth player here by any chance?
Labyrinth or Dynamorphia?
Oh, that could also be the case. But we do have Wanted, and we do have more Snake Eye decks here from Lalax Heart. We do have both of the Diabellstar cards there.
Yep, so Snake Eye's Diabellstar being discarded for the summon of the Diabellstar Black Witch, which will set the original symbols for the Snake Eye, and it is Labyrinth. Maxi now coming down as a direct response to this. Responded with a Maxi of their own. Neru taking on the Lexheart. The Lexheart on that Snake Eye. Neru with the Labyrinth. Welcome Labyrinth now resolving under Maxi.
Yeah, but that's very smart from Neru to also just chain their Maxi to this, because if there would be Called by the Grave in the hand from the Lexheart, you can't really chain the Called by the Grave there anymore, because it was your own Maxi also that you're trying to resolve there. So very smart of Neru to just immediately also chain their Maxi, even though there wasn't a special summon on the horizon just yet. But now Lexheart is going to special summon those monsters out, and he is going into the battle phase, going Infinite Impermanence on a Snake Eyes Diabellstar is not something you'll see very often there.
And again, the Maxi forces you to commit to trying to finish the game this turn, otherwise you have to deal with a copious amount of cards. There is an effect to set another Labyrinth trap. Big welcome Labyrinth, ready to go next turn. The Lexheart, you have to be really careful here. Look, he's continuing to commit. Legendary Fire King Onyx now, the Fire King aspect of the Snake Eye Fire King deck. Fire King Island. We're not done yet, Lampy.
We're not. And that Infinite Impermanence was really crucial and good, because the Snake Eye Diabellstar would have been able to place itself and the Lady into the Spiral Trap Zone. But due to the Infinite Impermanence and the attack already being declared, was just then running into its own destiny, attacking and losing the battle against the Lady there.
So I believe the Nightmare Phoenix did remove the Ice Dragon's prison there, so the removal options are going. The removal continues with Big Welcome Labyrinth being taken off the field here. The Lexheart is going to pass with a great amount of cards in the hand of Neru. It's Furniture Labyrinth. It's not the simultaneous equations cannon Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's true. Still a variant I definitely like and love, and it gives you so much flexibility. We see normally Labyrinth a deck that has very clear points where it can play the game, which is usually just on the opponent's turn, but those Furnitures give you a lot of flexibility. Those Stovey Turby and also the Chandelier just give you plays whenever you want to create them, basically. But now also Lexheart using their own turn there, or the opponent's turn rather, to keep on special summoning. But there's another Maxi resolving for Neru, man.
Yeah, the Shamdrag there, as you mentioned, going to just further extend here. Labyrinth even being played.
Just easily attacking now over the SP Little Knight in the battle phase. Welcome Labyrinth coming out. Now very good from the Lexart to chain the Link Corridor there. Again, no attack inside just yet, but using it to chain block. Not really chain block, but not to allow the lady to activate its effect to send another trap card there.
Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle as well now coming out. But Maxi actually giving more cards to Neru here.
Indeed, and we now...
Furniture, by the way.
As soon as the Labyrinth that can do that, 4 chain links, just all Labyrinth related, it's going to be a tough time to come back against this deck. Because there is just so many things, recurring resources for the deck. Look at this. Welcome Labyrinth just sets itself back. Toby to the field, generally to the hand. Now the Lovely is actually going to take another card from the opponent away as well. And that is going to be the field spell in that case. Alright, there's Avata summoned out, and okay, not too bad.
So Avata offers some protection here. Ariana, the Labyrinth Servant, actually going to add the Labyrinth Coup Clock here. Arius, the Labyrinth Butler, will let you get any trap that you want. Ice Dragon's Prison, we said before, was removed from the field, but now being set again, gives access to removal that is so crucial here to deny the setup from the Snake Eye Fire King deck.
Oh my, that is looking so good for Neru here. And that's really fortunate for him, honestly, because when it comes just to pure comparison between the two decks, usually if you would ask someone, it would always be, yeah, Snake Eye Fire King has a really good matchup against the Labyrinth deck because they have Tyrion available, they have so many ways to play through back row. Here in that case, Neru just completely dominating the Snake Eye Fire King deck instead.
And we mentioned that simultaneous equation cannons will likely not be played in the Furniture Labyrinth, but destructive Daruma Karma cannon was equally as impactful yesterday and continues to be played in this variant, and it continues to intimidate Lexart into surrendering here.
Yep. As soon as that chain with 4 chain links happened, as I said, I don't think there's any comeback from that. As soon as the Labyrinth player does that, I know it's really looking tough.
Honestly, the setup looked quite good from the Fire King Snake Eye, but Labyrinth getting to go off without a hitch was just too impactful. The monsters are formidable, but the traps are the heart and soul of that deck.
They are there, and that's why the Lex actually tried to just work through all those set cards. He was going for Little Knight, banishing the last one, the Phoenix beforehand, clearing one as well. So he was left with 0 cards there in the back row, but he had 7 cards in hand or something, so he had a very easy time to just replace them very quickly. So no surprise to me that we have Labyrinth performing well there. And overall, I would say no surprise that Labyrinth is still doing very good. Because if there's Tempa in the format, there's always the demand for very strong going first decks, because you just have those comfortable situations where you're allowed to go first, where you didn't even expect it because you lost the coin toss. So having that in your repertoire seems like a very good call.
And we've seen now the success of the U-Belt deck, we've seen the success of the Fire King Snake Eye, but now we've also seen Fire King Snake Eye struggle against the Labyrinth. There's so much variance again in the decks available here, and we're finding a lot of success across a variety of strategies.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be even more interesting in the later rounds, because there is some decks that sometimes players just keep a little under the radar, and then for those special tournaments where there's big prizes on the line, they bring out and they're like, okay, now it's worthy to play it, now it is time to show off, because now I can capitalize the most of it. And I think that was the case, for example, yesterday for Ronas, because he was just then bringing the horror Snake of Orion that he, in his already cooking process, decided is really good, but he never really brought it to any of the Challenger Cups. But yesterday he was like, okay, I need to win this tournament, I need to get there, I need to secure the win, and then he showed off with this.
He did indeed, but perhaps we'll see someone show off with Gimmick Puppet or White Forest later in the day. Again, these new strategies also very intriguing, but let's see Fire King Snake Eye again, this time from Joey Kuzan.
Yep, and up against legitimately opened almost no Jubel engine there. Has the Mourner, has the Ash Blossom, and the Maxi. There also is the one Samsara Lotus. But let's focus on the turn of Joey Kuzan here first, who does have Called by the Great, meeting the Maxi right away.
Two Call by the Graves in hand, by the way, for Joey Kuzan, so a lot of insurance to make sure that this does resolve. Ghost Lorna, though, coming out.
Oh, there's the other Call by the Grave. Yeah, legit cannot be very happy about that, but he does at least still have that Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, and Joey Kuzan can of course not have a third Call by the Grave in his hand anymore, as that card is semi-limited in Master Duel, of course. So we grab the Fire King Sanctuary. I think legit, possibly just wants to use the Ash Blossom. This no, decides to hold it for the moment. Going to use the effect of Volcanix and also of the Sacred Fire King Garunix in hand.
Sacred Fire King Garunix now coming out onto the field. And we're continuing to see things resolve. Do we see the Zombie Vampire now that we have level 8, or do we go somewhere else with this? Linking them off, actually.
Yeah, I think there was no real big need for the Zombie Vampire there anymore, as we already have the info what our opponent is probably going to be on. We already enabled to get 2 cards out of the hand by them interacting with us. Can now go into the Sunlight Wolf, and I think that's an indicator we go for Heat Soul. Some players play the Heat Soul line, some players don't. That is first of all the Promethean Princess. That could have been a Heat Soul there, but of course we didn't even go for Promethean Princess just yet.
That will of course resurrect anything in the graveyard here. The Avatar offering some protection, and we continue to climb. Amphibious Swarm Ship, Ambler Whale now coming out.
Alright, Ambler Whale and Avatar, that ain't
Opening Spirit
shabby.
Gates is good.
That is a good top deck for sure. Problem still though, if we do interact with this Dark Beckoning Beast, there is no way to bring out the Samsara, but okay, we get to play here, that's not bad. Link 2 into the Unchained Soul Lord of Yama, of course. And I mean, playing against yugioh, and there is a monster with 3,200 attack points on the field, that's always a scary feeling, and therefore we make sure it's not there anymore. Promethean Prince is not that much smaller though, to be honest. So we do have that 2,700 attack point monster now on the field, meaning that there is a possible 3 attacks from yugioh going into it.
Salomon, Great Sunlight Wolf now coming back as well. Do we see the continuation here? Sacred Fire King Garunix also here. Fire King High Avatar Kirin also coming out to remove that opening of the Spirit Gates. Unchained Soul Lord of Yama, there's an effect, but there's an effect in response. Fire King Avatar Avatar, we said, was the insurance here for the deck, for the Snake Eye Fire King, and it continues to be.
It definitely does, and we see legit does have the Shavara still in hand, but he does not even try to do anything with it, because on its own it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. Now we see Joey back on his turn, casually just linking off these 2 to go to Nightmare Phoenix. Maybe we'll call it the day already, right? We have seen a lot of Nightmare Phoenix in those first couple of matches already. We do use the Shavara in response, but legit says, none of that, I am going to immediately react and negate that with the Avatar.
So Nightmare Phoenix, I think it's very cool to see it make a resurgence. Of course, when SP Little Knight did come in, it did replace a lot of these Link 2 cards, but actually we see Nightmare Phoenix being able to close that one out.
Yeah, that it was. Nightmare Phoenix, still a super versatile card, and I think when there is decks in the format that do play a lot with set cards, and Labyrinth is there, and Warfare also is there when you're playing, of course, but there is definitely still plenty of decks that do have that, and also overall, almost all of the decks do play Infinite Impermanence, and so you do want to have those extra tools available in your extra deck. And with Snake Eye Fire King, I think you have like 10 cards in your extra deck that you need to play.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 to 3 that are very, very likely to play, but there's still like 2 flex spots, and very often we see that being filled with that Nightmare Phoenix, for example.
And again, we mentioned that being the deck to be coming into this tournament, and it still seems to be, as we do go through round 2.
Yeah, that was round 2, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, there is plenty more to come. We have 5 more rounds of Swiss and then going to top 32. But for the moment, we're going to go on a short break. So we're going to have a packed video for you, and we will be right back for round number 3. And back we are immediately, and I'm joined as yesterday with the wonderful Amra. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm super happy to cast this again with you guys. I'm looking forward to it. We just had two great rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Already, and there's plenty more to come. So we already saw Labyrinth there, but in a different version from what we saw yesterday. Do you have a personal preference? What do you think right now is the better approach to play Labyrinth? That furniture version or the version we saw yesterday?
So I think the version from yesterday with simultaneous equation can seem stronger to me.
Okay.
I think it is a strategy that not many people are aware about.
True.
Even when I used to play that deck in the TCG, I felt like not a lot of players knew about the card. And whenever I was able to resolve the card, always caught them off guard. They had to read it. I had to explain the card to them because it's a really complicated card. So I feel like the card will see play in the meta and also in the deck, but people need time to adjust to it, I think.
Probably.
So for now, the people are just sticking to the good old furniture labyrinth, I believe.
Which is also pretty good, not
it
gonna
is
lie.
also
It's
a
not
really
bad.
good deck.
It has a lot of really good matchups, and actually, funnily enough, we saw it here in the matchup where it's not supposed to be very favored, because the Fire King matchup usually is a troublesome for Labyrinth, but still it dominated it like crazy. It didn't even really seem like a match fair, to be honest. Like the Labyrinth deck just completely putting up a show there. So good to see that Labyrinth can still go strong. But tell us a couple of very good matchups that are usually good matchups for the Labyrinth deck, because it is very versatile, but there's some matchups that are just really good, like 80-20 matchups usually.
Yeah, first of all, I should say that, as you said before, the Fire King matchup is a bit tough because of Kirin.
Yeah, exactly.
Kirin is a non-target destruction, so trap decks are just counter pick decks always struggle against non-target destruction.
True.
But the deck has a lot of good matchups, for example, Tempai Dragon.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Due to Dimensional Barrier.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, if you know what you're playing against, or if you have like maybe a direction of deck that you might expect, you can adjust your deck to it, because you can just play any trap card in your deck, and that always, like any normal trap card works with the Labyrinth strategy, so you can adjust your deck. And I feel like if you know what you're coming up against, I feel like every matchup is at least favored.
Yeah.
And there's not really a bad matchup. You can also, I'm saying fighting now, but you can also like consider cards like different dimension ground to counter the fire strategies, or for example Mapnek.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think the deck has a lot of good matchups, as I said.
Honestly, even Duel seems like a decent matchup, right? Because Duel has like that additional monster negate with the Phantom of Yubel, and that's good, but that's not really good against trap cards. So just a single Daruma cannon sometimes can just blow out an entire Yubel field, right?
Yeah, Josh used to play Labyrinth in the WCS, especially against Duel.
Yeah.
Because the build that we built for that tournament, it was just never losing against Duel. And I think Josh won against Duel while bricking for like 3 turns.
That shows you how good it is. Yeah,
exactly. And I think, as I said, Tempai is a really good matchup. Duel is a good matchup. I would say any rogue strategy is a good matchup, because most of the time every deck struggles against Lady Labyrinth, Silver Castle, because of the protection.
Targeted, yeah, exactly. But that is a lot of theory. We want more practice. Let's go into a practical duel as we have round 3 on our hands. Into the action we go, and we see Jordan Neon deciding to go first, and he will be facing against my Nervar here. What are we going to have here? Oh, look at that. We have Emra in the booth, and we immediately get the Chimera deck on screen. Let's go. I like that.
So this is one of the best openers that you can have. Nightmare and Prentice discarding Edgem Chain, triggering both effects. I think you prefer to have the fusion now, so you change the Edgem Chain with the Prentice, and that gets turned impermanent. But I think that's fine, because you can get Patchwork now, and Patchwork will copy your organization and the Edgem Chain. Yeah. And then you can go into Bear Format, and that will enable your entire combo.
That's true. So I think you are kind of forced to use the tournaments there, but still you already know that it kind of is going to continue from there on. It's a little bit of a different route, but it's still going to be a route that is going to be successful. As we see the Fighter Patchwork indeed grabbing the Poly. Do we even already have one of the normal summons from the Chimera strategy available to us or not? I love, by the way, I don't know. It seems to be a code between Chimera players to always use triple tacticalities when you're playing Chimera. I've seen that so often, but that's a tribute sound of Big Wing Burr from it there. So if that resolves, we do have all the tools available for us.
Yeah, triple tacticalities is a really strong card in Chimera because most of points of the deck they lose against monster effects. So to have an extender or even a field breaker while going second, Talon just does for that.
For sure. Yeah. We do see Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit now on that tribute summon monster there. Do you think that's a clever call? Do you think that's a good monster to get off the field there?
Theoretically, yes. I think you don't want your opponent to have any way to fusion summon.
Yeah.
But since we have information that we already searched at the main, and we're getting Gazelle, we can go into Chimera fusion. So I think I would have helped the Ogre for the Chimera fusion, turn off the effects of Mirror's Fortnite.
Oh yeah, sure. You're right. Because those only work there as a Chimera around.
Exactly.
So we do go for the polarization now. And I like that Jordan really is going full style. He also has the Night Threat. He's not making a secret out of it. He's like, I'm the Chimera guy here, and I'm going to win this entire thing using that strategy. Now we use the great effect of Gazelle, and also Chimera triggering. That's always so tough, right? That you also just get the additional card out of the hand in the end phase. It's massive.
Exactly. I think at this point, this is where you want to be as a Chimera player. You want your opponent to wait at least like one or two hand prep while you still can summon the Chimera with the flying beast to discard another card. So basically, Minerva has played with like 3 cards in hand now against the established board.
That's not going to be easy, but first of all, let's see how well Neon is going to establish that field. Conflict Portal, of course, an easy grab there, so you discard it from the hand and add another card from your deck. What are we going to see here? Any predictions?
I think it's Fortnite.
It is Mirror's Fortnite indeed. There it is, getting into her hand. Chimera Fusion next. We just do not get stopped. That was kind of funny. You're usually playing 2.92 copies of Chimera Fusion. I've never seen a Chimera deck with less than 3 Chimera Fusion deck, but apparently there was one person that has contributed to that statistic there that did not. Okay, now the Chimera, the next one, the birth actually here.
And now we see the new release card getting milled. The Dia Belt.
The original Sin Keeper, that's nice, because that's such a strong tool to also have on your end field, and you're usually going to bring it out on your opponent's turn, right?
That's what we're going to do with Chimera that discarded called by the Great Grave.
But could have been answered, right?
Exactly.
We could have just gotten rid of that Diabell's, but not anymore as the card is getting rid of in the end phase. Okay, are we bringing back the Diabell's here? Must be, right? Yes! There it is. Another call the grave around? Nope. We're resolving. Diabell's out with animation even, and in attack position. And now from here on, explain quickly what does that card do? Why is it so good as a piece of your end field?
So it's kind of similar to continuous prep card and where your opponent has set their spell and prep for activating them. And when a prep card gets settled on the field, you can pop one prep card on the field, or you can always pop one before they can use one even.
Yeah. So it doesn't prevent you from usually normally using your monsters, but Minerva also setting a monster now. Not really a good sign for BAM. And the cool thing about Diabell's in general is that just game mechanic-wise, that kind of disables quick spells and also for example, an evenly matched because those it doesn't work if you set that card and activate it at the same turn. So against those cards, it's really good. Like Forbidden Drop it as well. Runic decks in general struggle against this deck so much. So now we're at the end of the main phase, just casually go to summon Guardian Chimera, destroy the cross. Another quick spell that you could not use there. Looking really good for Neon here.
So usually you block your opponent from using any spells that turn because they have to set them first, and then you can, as Gordeon did, react with the Chimera Fusion, summon a Guardian Chimera, and just set that card.
Sure, absolutely. So that's going to be now the Chimera Fusion coming back.
Which is, by the way, gives you a lot of space for mind games. You could theoretically just have a card that you don't want to use anyway, making your opponent think, okay, that's the card that you want to use, and then you'll set another card that you want to use after they just pop card that you didn't want to use.
Yeah, sure. Now the normal summon of Big Wing Burr mate. Activating Camera Fusion. Yeah, we're facing one set. There was no Maxi last turn. I don't think there's a Maxi coming now, so we're just going to continue playing our turn here for Neon. There is not really anything that can stop them. Magnum the Reliever now next off, which is one of your favorites, really? Okay, why is that?
When the deck first came out, I thought the card was not as good. Once I put my extra deck, I realized that I can summon it so often and it has so many uses, so correct on the opponent's turn as well.
True.
It's such a good card.
I think the first person really using this card a lot was Dinkabu. He played that so much. He also made me think, oh yeah, that card definitely has something to do. Oh, I think from my Nerva, it actually was a good old reliable Melodious deck there, and I think it was Arya indicating that it would be pure Melodious. Not going to see any of the pure Melodious deck here anymore, as we're in the battle phase, and we're seeing Jordan Neon getting through all those attacks, putting in the final blow, securing the win here for round number 3. So really good with a decent start, not only being 2-0, but being 3-0 at this point. Very strong stuff.
I think this match just showcased how good the camera really is.
Yeah,
how good it is going first. Sometimes you just have to pass on like a hand trap.
Yeah.
But if you open a good hand, just like Jordan just did, you can just play through maybe 3 or even 4 hand traps, ending on a Chimera Fusion, which is often like 2 or 3 interruptions with the graveyard.
Yeah, for sure.
And also follow up. I think this just was a really great showcase of the deck.
Yeah, I mean, you have been playing that deck a lot recently even, right? With the newest support of Nightmare Apprentice, so you definitely are an expert on it. And what would you say, what is the original Sin Keeper that we just saw here? How much is that going to help the deck now being even more relevant in the metagame? Because it was already everywhere on the ladder, but now with that card on top of it, is that just a little bit better, or is it just a lot better now?
I think the deck just got a lot better.
Okay.
Because before the original Synth Keeper came out, you used to play the Dark Barrier statue.
True,
Lock your opponent out of special summons from monsters except Dark Monsters. But as we know, there are a lot of strong Dark Monsters that every deck plays.
Yep.
So sometimes it really had no impact or like no huge impact on the opponent. And with the original Synth Keeper now out, you can make, you know that no matter what you're playing against, it will have impact.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
And especially against Tempai, the Dark Statue was good as well, but also the Sin Keeper is just so good because you know that you can always pop the field spell, because you know if it gets set to the field spell column, it's a field spell.
Yeah, that's true. So,
and you also disable the Sunken Kaiman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But also so good. We have so many different games happening at the same time, so why not look at another, and we're getting to see another Labyrinth deck. And I think we discarded...
White Forest?
Yeah, we discarded Woes of the White Forest. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Minimalistic opening, but with the Labyrinth cards, of course, still scary, as those are the impactful trap cards.
There is
the
a Heavy Storm.
Oh my. Chain Titan uses the Heavy Storm and has the Ash Blossom of choice bring for the big welcome Labyrinth. There's no way. Now, Woes of the White Forest, though. Okay. You can special summon out and then synchro summon a White Forest monster. That's a level 6, though.
I think we're just going for draw here. Or no, we're going for
Mycelia. Which would technically be... Okay, I mean, you can send a spell trap card from your hand of here to the graveyard to just add follow-up, I guess. But we don't even do that. Red Eyes Fusion! What is going on here? How did we get that feature match? That's crazy. All the new cards all of a sudden in action here. Red Eyes Fusion, of course, with the original Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician fusion summoning into Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. He's back, baby! Just recently, just 2 days ago, basically, came back from the Forbidden section and is now allowed at free in Master and
Secret Village of the Spellcasters. What deck are we even playing here?
I don't know. Probably just good cards turbo. We're just summoning out Dragoon, which is probably the biggest spellcaster monster you could access. And then next to that, you also have the Secret Village of the Spellcasters.
Okay, so we are now... It is Tempai. Okay, it is Tempai with a Red Eyes Engine Splash. And we are now in battle phase. And I think we want to go for a game here. We have the Omni Negate of the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon.
Okay, we just attack over it.
Attacking, and now using Chunra's effect. Getting Fatra, and that will be answered with the Black Gold Glove.
But I think that's a really interesting version of the deck, right? Because that is now probably going... Usually the game plan probably is to just go for Verta Anaconda going first to summon out Dragoon when you get sent first with your Tenpai deck. And going second, of course, it's just Tenpai cards, which are really, really good in general.
But who needs Verta if you just can hard through the Red Eyes Fusion?
Even better, right? Even better that is. You didn't even need to do anything additional to that.
And now I think we can just go for a game.
I would agree. Seems easy.
Dragon bringing back Fadra, Fadra bringing back the Tundra, and that should be way over 8,000 damage here.
Blue with a U, probably in the final stages of this. 300 life points remaining. Not going to be enough to withstand the attack of this Transcendent Dragon. So that is the game for Chain Titan. Didn't Chain Titan though? Where were the Thunder Dragon cards with that? That's a wrong username. I don't know whether that's allowed, to be honest.
So I think this version of Tenpai was really interesting because we saw the secret village, and I was asking myself, okay, how can we consistently get to that secret village?
Easy answer, isn't it?
Yeah, Ancient Fairy Dragon.
Ancient Fairy Dragon, because we are consistently summoning level 7 synchro monsters to our field, so we can honestly just easily access that, and then we already have one link material for the Verta Anaconda. I love that approach. I think it's a really good idea. I think that's very strong.
The more I think about it, the better it gets, honestly. Like, your strategy wants to go second anyway.
Yeah.
And if you go first, you can just set up a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon with a secret village. And I don't know a lot of decks that can out that.
Yeah, same. Okay, we have another Tenpai Dragon deck going first here with Miglios. And we do have Lower on the other hand, which is just immediately going to drop a Maxi on the activation of that Sengen summoning.
Discarding Hydra, getting in Roku.
That's the first draw of the Maxi.
So this is where I feel like Maxi is not that strong against Tenpai. A lot of people are cutting Maxi from their deck, which is something that I thought I'll never say.
Yeah.
But at this specific moment, when your opponent goes for it again Roku, I think Maxi is really strong.
And I mean, they're going first, so you're getting so many cards to just break through. And oh, Triple Tactic Thrust, that's not really a super popular card. Those are the technologies people are playing going first options in Tenpai today. We haven't really seen that too much on the ladder, but now in this tournament setting where people might be countering you, you want to be prepared. And there is a Fact Veiler on Hydra, meaning, of course, we're going to see a mirror match of the Tenpai Dragon strategies here. And then having that Dimensional Barrier available to you is pretty good. And there's Frost as well. What's happening? This time grabbing Triple Tactics Talent. Activating it right away. Drawing more cards. I would have said that's never ever the option here.
I think if you go for the take option of Triple Tactics Talent here, your opponent will just tribute the shields, bounce your Hydra, and then you can take nothing.
Black Rose Dragon, though, negated by the Dimensional Barrier, of course, now. Luckily. Hold on. No.
Wait.
Please, don't do it on the Black Rose Dragon. Just don't do it on the Black Rose Dragon. If that Black Rose Dragon goes back to the extra deck, it's not going to be negated by Dimensional Barrier anymore. Oh my, all the chain links here. Ash Blossom and Joy Spring for the Sunken Kaiman. Eve, just do it on your own field spell. Come on, just put the Sengen summoning back into your hands.
Does the Black Rose resolve anyway?
Does it?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay. I mean, there was not anything to destroy anymore anyway, so it would have been fine. But okay, Fadra coming out, Fadra effect, brings back Hydra. Magnamut, though, on the seals now. Oh, it would have been good to use the Magnamut on the seals when before it could activate its effect to splash something from the deck, but there was no monster on the field for Miglios, so we couldn't do that. Now Ghost Ogre on Hydra. Loa just really, he has so many cards in hand, he's just going to use all of them here, step by step, to stop Miglios from getting back his Tenpai engine. And so that's a Black Rose Dragon. We can still go for a Link Summon here, of course. Is that going to be... It's just Aspie level.
I think it's interesting. I think what you could have done here is go for Hita and then go into your Link plays, which is also something that can win the game through Dimensional Barrier.
Yeah. Now we go Sengen Kaiman in the battle phase. But I think Lower might have forgotten that he can't attack directly here. He's really going all in on all of this, but there is no direct attacks happening because we went for that Aspie Little Knight. Now the sad main phase too. I think we had game there technically, but not anymore. So we are just going to pass over, and when you're passing it over to a Tenpai player, that is going to mean trouble. Activating the Sengen summoning that we brought back to our hand. And Lower, again, wasting no time by dropping that Maxi down there. again, on the activation of Sangen Summoning, which is a bit unconventional, and now the Ghost Ogre again. Wow. The back-to-back power of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit on your own, and also on your opponent's turn. Normal summon Pydra, though. Also met with an infinite impermanence. Loa just got so many cards in hand, he could just stop everything here.
We have an answer for everything, basically.
Oh, Chandra waiting in hand, though. Interesting to see that there is no response. Now we gotta do a response, though. Oh, both players just going for Black Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon can be easily countered here by the SP Little Knight, though, preventing our resources, to be honest. And then the Druid's Worm is going to be sent to the graveyard, also making sure that the Black Rose Dragon is going to be... Oh, wait, no, it's destroying itself anyways. Don't mind me. Oh, Sangen Kaiman, though. Last card in hand, Sangen Kaiman. Not into the Infinite Impermanence column. Is this just really going to be the game here?
I think it is game here.
That's crazy.
There are not a lot of cards that we can draw here now. Effect Validator doesn't work in the battle phase, so it's only impermanence, I feel like.
That is crazy. Maybe also one of the Bestials to protect you. Maybe DD Crow would be good here, specifically on the target of Biden Dragon. Is there something like that? There is the Infinite Impermanence. What a crazy game are we witnessing here. Those kind of Tenpai Dragon mirror matches are always fun to see, where it's not just over in 1 or 2 turns, but it just goes back and forth a little more. And therefore, yugioh has to pass on that. And we're getting back our own Chandra and the SP Little Knight now right away as well. Oh, yeah.
And now we just are not under the dimensional barrier anymore. And we can just push through everything with our strategy. You just have to be aware that the Sangenpai Biden Dragon can come back after you declare a second attack.
That's true.
So that's something we have to be aware of.
Somewhat interesting as well, we did not get out of Fadra there at all, and therefore the attack that we did with our Chandra, it did bring out the Pydra, but still it resulted in the Chandra being destroyed by battle there regularly, which is usually something you try to avoid by summoning out Fadra, which is just permanently saying that your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. We lost that Chandra there. Let's see whether that's going to be a problem for us overall. I think we still have enough potential to keep on going here, right?
I think this is still enough. We're going for the Sangenpai Biden Dragon ourselves. Bring back the Fadra, which will bring back another body. And I think this is just too many bodies to deal with.
Alright, let's see. Biden Dragon bringing back the Fadra. As you were saying, Fadra now a fact. And we're probably just trying to go into a Transcendent Dragon, making sure that the opponent cannot activate the Biden Dragon in the graveyard. And then it's probably just still going to be enough damage coming through, because we then ourselves can still activate the Biden Dragon in our graveyard, and that's just going to be so many monsters with big attack points able to attack into the, for the moment, still full life points of yugioh.
I just wanted to say that we could have prevented the Black Rose Dragon from hitting the field if we would have, when the opponent summoned the Pydra, we could have changed SP Little Knight. True. And then changed the Infinite Impermanence on the Little Knight.
Yeah.
So it gets engaged and then banished and then the...
Okay, now the Transcendent Dragon attacking over the Biden. No more monster effects, or no more effects in general, actually, in the battle phase for the opponent anymore. First direct attack flying in there with the SP Little Knight. Not the most usual card to be on the field of a Tenpai player, but it's going to put in the damage that we need here. Sangen, Kaiman, that's just all we need, honestly. More than we need, even. Searching Dora there, just because we can. Probably don't have any more Tenpai monsters in our deck that really would be doing the trick here. We have all of them in our hand, or on the field, or in the graveyard. But it's still going to be fine.
Yeah,
which one?
Sangenpai will come back.
Yeah.
Which will then go into a Trident Dragon, which can attack 3 times directly.
Easily.
Always game.
I agree. He's still... Lower is still making a little bit of a drama out of it here. He's letting his opponent wait for a little moment, letting us wait as well. Maybe enjoying the moment of spotlight here on the main featured match, saying, hey, let me embrace that a little more. I'm just going to attack for game. Oh my, no.
What happened?
No, I jinxed him. There is no way. It was not waiting. It was actually disconnecting. He surrendered? What is going on here? Why did he surrender? There is no way. That is something I don't have any kind of explanation for, to be honest.
That never happened to one of the Challenger Cups that I hosted, where the person that was winning just surrendered.
I mean, I would have expected there then to say connection failed, and he was just disconnected for some unfortunate reason, maybe because his internet just failed, because he's playing from his home, of course. But then saying he surrendered, Maybe his timer went down to 1 second. He's like, damn it, I won't surrender myself now.
Better than losing against the timer.
Exactly. Because that might have been, yeah, probably he was like, no, I don't want to be on feature and then have that on the screen. With a 10 by Dragon deck, no. We're just going to get out of here ourselves. But yeah, I've been saying it time over and time over. The 10 by Dragon mirror match is something I enjoy watching, actually.
Same.
Because it is really skillful. Sometimes when Tenpai faces off against a different deck, it's very, very one-sided and it's going to be over somewhat quickly. But we see here multiple turns of back and forth action between the two decks. Very different things you have to be aware of with the Biden Dragon being in the graveyard. Sometimes even Transcendent Dragon being in the graveyard, which you can also summon back on your turn then. So you really want to make sure to play around those cards. And sometimes in the battle phase, when both players have access to their engine, it feels like a sprint on who gets transcended first, right?
Yeah. I think that it's the most important thing, as you said in the mirror match, to make sure you get that Transcendent Dragon before your opponent does.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a battle phase and your opponent gets it out before you, you just have to attack into it and all of your monsters will be destroyed by battle.
Yep, and that's something you try to avoid at any cost, just losing all of your monsters that easily. But as easily as that, we do have another game that we can look into. So let's hop back into the game. And we do have Andre Nota that's going first. And we do have something that I love to see. We do have Black Wings from Andre.
Against Heroes.
Wow, fan favorite game here between these two. Did they have a gentleman's agreement before this match saying, hey, I'm going to play Blackwing if you play Hero? And the Shogun was also just absolutely down for double Black Whirlwind resolving here now. Grabbing Sudri. Grabbing Ivata.
Really strong hand from what I can tell. Having that additional normal summon with 2 Black Whirlwinds is super strong. You're just getting through your entire engine here. So
Indeed.
2 more searches here.
Another Vata, interestingly enough. And then also the Sharngar. All the birds. When the birds are in the town, Ember is a happy man, right? It's not for Underease, but it's almost. It's winged peace at least. Okay, there's Ash Blossom and Joy Spring now on Vivata. I think I like that, but Andre does not like it because there's the call by the grave immediately negating it.
But I have to say, Shogun Sense going second also seems strong with the Forbidden Droplet.
True. Absolutely. Okay, sending to, so if you're not aware of what Vata does, it basically just synchro summons with materials from the deck. That's how we send those cards from the deck to the graveyard, and that almighty and also powerful Black-Winged Dragon appeared on the stream there. And there's Sephiroth, Sharngar. Yeah, that's the thing about Blackwing. Blackwing is one of those original super big combo decks where it just doesn't stop synchro summoning. It just continues to go and go and go. And I think then probably at this point there has been a million waves of Blackwing support. But in one of the most recent releases there, it did actually get the synchro monster that now can even synchro summon with materials from the graveyard and so on. So it's really good. But we see, oh, what is Andre Nota doing a special thing here, I believe.
I think this version of the deck will end up on setting up a DDD King Kali Yuga.
Ooh, you might be right, yeah.
Which,
first of all,
if you get to that point, I can guarantee you 100% you're winning the game, unless you surrender.
True. Hey, we saw it just there. It's always possible. Bestial Dispater now. And the thing about Bestial Dispater here is, we ourselves gave our opponent a banished monster by using Caught by the Grave on Ash Blossom. So we have both effects available here for Bestial Dispater, which makes it even more scary and powerful. Look at that. We're linking off. Going for an actual Raid Raptor engine here in our deck. There's the Ultimate Falcon now coming out.
Which is also something that some decks just can't deal with it by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a magnificent field that we're setting up here. We did set the quick spell, rank up spell there as well, which is going to be able to go into that potential Kali Yuga on the opponent's turn. There is the full Armor Master.
Cover card of the Master Duel 2023 WCS season.
Indeed it was. You have very good memories of that season, don't you? And now we go, oh, look at that. I did not see that one yet. Darkness Metal, but Dragon. Let's just go. Oh, and that's the Blackwing Assault Dragon there that I was thinking of. And we do have a field of 3 synchros. In the end phase, we do get a bit of damage, but I don't think Andre is going to be concerned about that. The hero lives.
And now the Phantom Knight rank up will be chained.
Shogun, probably just for the show, is going to discard his entire hand for the Forbidden Droplet there.
I think the Kali Yuga negates everything on the field, so getting rid of the hero lift might make it resolve.
Let's see. You might be right. There is the Duel Donking Kali Yuga. Scary card, honestly. Okay.
No, it negates everything.
Still negated. Game over. We do have Black Wings also in competition here at this special 1000 Days of Master Duel Challenger Cup, the 1v1 edition. We already had a crazy day of action yesterday with the 3v3, but the 1v1 starting off quite nicely today as well. And we got to say, there's a little bit of a difference between 3v3 and 1v1. We talked about it before the tournament off stream. Sometimes people do have more courage to play creative decks in 1v1s, because in a 3v3, you always have to justify with your teammates. You want to play for your teammates, but now you're your own boss, basically. Speaking of boss yesterday won the 3v3, but yeah, you can just be free and just basically play whatever you want. You can play Blackwing in this, right?
So, as you said, you are your own boss.
Yeah.
You can play whatever you want. Of course, you can probably just play whatever you want when you're playing the 3v3.
Yeah.
But you have to be aware that if you play a strategy that might be not that strong, you might anchor your teammates as well. So when we qualified for the WCS, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick my favorite deck, have some fun. But yeah, Quantal and Josh said, you're not gonna do that.
Not so fast, not so fast. Yeah. But so in a 1v1, of course, you just have all the freedom in the world, and you can just comfortably play, even if you're not trying to win the entire thing. I mean, you can participate in all the 7 rounds of Swiss. So if you just want to have a fun day of Master Duel dueling, you can just go in there and play 7 rounds of Swiss, then possibly play against some other fun decks, and you can just enjoy the day by playing Master Duel against other people, other like-minded people from Europe that also like to play those Challenger Cups. And I think it's a very, very cool and great community that we have created through those Master Duel Challenger Cups, if you ask me. Because, I mean, you're hosting them, but you also have been playing in them. I think you also have won a couple already, like 1 or 2. So just playing in them is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really fun. You can just play like from home, which is something that I really like. You don't have to like drive 2 or 3 hours to go to a regional, so you can just play from home. And it's just a really chill environment. You can play whatever you want. You can switch your deck whenever you want.
Yeah,
that's also something that I really like. So what I like to do is when I play Challenger Cups, I'm not trying to play the best strategy. I'm just trying to have fun, maybe like splash multiple engines in one deck.
Yes, I like that.
The last time I played a Challenger Cup, I played a 60-card Voices Voice Kashira deck.
That sounds crazy. How did you do?
I think I dropped after round 4 because I had to go.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I was 3-1.
Okay, not bad at all.
It is a really good deck. I mean, the Voices Voice engine is still probably a tier 1 strategy.
Yeah.
Kashira cards are always strong. So I felt like, okay, if I mix them together, I might have a really good deck.
Interestingly enough, the Kashira cards, we've seen very little of them this weekend so far, right? Yesterday, can't even recall a single Kashira Fenrir being summoned, right?
No.
And that's very interesting to see, because those cards are actually super, super relevant in the TCG at the moment. And therefore, it would be no surprise. Of course, in Master Duel, we do have a couple of different restrictions to the engine, right? So Fenrir is
at 1.
Limited. Unicorn's
at 2.
Unicorn's at 2. Those numbers are kind of funny. And then Pressure Planet Race Up is also at 1, right? Yeah. So it does make sense that the engine is not that strong anymore and not seen as much anymore. But seeing more, we are for round number 4 here of the tournament. Next round already on our hands, and we do have Alex 00000 playing against Matrix, and those two, they are crushers since the beginning of Master Duel days.
Also someone that won a lot of cups. I think he also won the invitation for the Tokyo Dome event, right?
Let me tell you something. Alex pulled off a crazy story. He actually qualified to the Tokyo Dome event last year, which basically was a similar qualification event to an IRL thing to happen. So he won the 1v1, and then the next day the 3v3 was, so it was the different order than we have here this weekend. He also won with his team. It was crazy. So Alex, in those invitational tournaments, is an absolute force to be reckoned. And of course, Matrix. We saw him yesterday already with his team together. As champion since the first season, but he does get maxied on the normal summon of his Firewall Defensor, and that's going to completely stop him in his tracks there. Over to Alex.
I was talking about Kashtira as if he heard us. As if he heard us.
Exactly. Immediately going to bring out that Kashtira unicorn. We were wondering where all the Kashtira cards are, and yeah, there's your answer. There it is.
So whenever I'm playing against someone that plays the Kashtira engine in his deck, and they start with unicorn, I know I'm in a bad position.
Yeah.
Even if I want to negate it with like an Ash Blossom, I know, okay, it will get rid of a card from my extra deck, and on the next turn, if it stays on the field, it will probably get rid of another card. So that's always something that you really don't want to interact with, but you have to.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
It brings you to that tough position.
Ooh, that looks like a normal summon. Normal summon Diabellus for Black Witch. Some people don't even realize, but Kashtira Birth allows you to normal summon whatever level 7. It does not have to be a Kashtira monster, so Diabellus of a Black Witch perfectly falls into those requirements. And we can even, on the normal summon of it, rarely happening, but still possible, use its effect as well to set a Sinful Sports spell trap card from our deck directly to the field.
I think we're going for the original Sinful Sports here now.
If we didn't draw it, I would agree for sure. Yeah. Another fun story with Alex. I mean, he's already the crazy story of winning both of those Tokyo Dome Challenger Cup events. He did that with his team. All of them playing Kashtira, actually. So he has a really special connection to the Kashtira. Again, it was pure Kashtira with the Rysart still being around back in the day, and that's what they did it with.
I mean, Rysart's still around.
It actually still is around, you're right. But no one is really playing it that much anymore. You see the pure Kashtira deck once in a blue moon, but not really that often anymore. But mainly due to all those main deck hits. Oh, okay, it's not going to set anything as there is Effect Veiler now. You said it. Now the Unicorn is going to have a little look into the extra deck from Matrix there. So we're getting a couple of answers regarding the extra deck building of this Mathmech deck there. There it happens.
It just feels so tough every time to play against the Unicorn. Even against the Fenrir, it is really tough to play against because you don't really want to interact with it because it can just banish a card face down on the field.
Absolutely.
And the Unicorn, when the Kashtira cards came out, people thought that Fenrir is just really that much better on the field as a presence than Unicorn.
For sure.
But with time passing, I think everybody can agree that they would rather play into a Fenrir than a Unicorn. Myself included. So
fair enough.
We're getting rid of the Firewall, Dragon, Dark Flute, Neo Terahertz now.
Okay, going into the battle phase, not having anything else to offer here apparently, so we can't capitalize as much as we would have liked to, because that one Effect Veiler on the Witch apparently was very, very powerful. And Alex is heading into the main phase 2, activating Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, setting up further monsters. Interesting, because that could be a Diabellus Witch, but it's not. Okay.
So I think that the plan... I think I would have gone for an IP here, because you have the Burp Revive. Even if your opponent has a Ghost Ogre, you can normal summon... You can special summon the Ash. Snake Eye Ash if your opponent normals or special summons the card of the Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes. But we decide to not go for IP Masquerena here. Let's see what Matrix can do. 4 cards in hand. Probably he has to also consider that the Unicorn will resolve once more.
Yeah, so we already got rid of the Terahertz, but there's another card probably gone soon.
Yeah.
As soon as we try to activate a monster effect here.
And there's also the Kashtira Bird, which a lot of people are just forgetting, but it's also a really strong form of interruption. Banishing 3 cards from the graveyard face down when a spell card or spell effect is activated.
Indeed the case, and that is going to be probably at some point the Mathmech equation that you are going to grab eventually.
Yeah.
But that would mean that you get to play for a bit already, because we saw them not starting with Mathmech Circular last turn, probably indicating that there is no Mathmech Circular at the moment. But let's see, Matrix is thinking this through, is very much known to be one of the most strategical players. That is another spell card in the deck, Small World, and that could be the spell card that gives us access now to the Mathmech Circular we were missing last turn.
And there is an Ash Blossom. I think you want to deny the access to Mathmech Circular by discarding the Ash Blossom.
It wasn't there last time, so we want to keep it away still. But Matrix now, of course, having the possibility to activate possibly a triple tactic talents. On the other hand, he didn't have that one last turn either, so probably not there either as well. So Let's see, Matrix. Is there even any Cybers monsters left in their hand?
I think it all comes down to Alex's last spell and trap card that's face down and we don't know about. If it's any sort of interruption or not. 3 cards in hand, the Mathmech strategy can easily play through 1 interruption.
Yeah.
But you have to consider that the Divine Temple will also trigger, bringing back the Ash. But we have
that is a start.
Traction here. Special summoning itself.
We do activate the effect of Kashtira Unicorn, and I mean, when we're already in the groove of activating monster effects, we may as well just use the Temple as well, because sometimes you do just not use the Temple yet to play around cards like Triple Tactic Talents and so on and so forth, but as we do use a monster effect here anyways, and the chances of Matrix having talents are basically 0 at this point too, that's pretty good to see. And Alex, having a pretty clear structure here, he's just going to banish all the monsters from the extra deck that are the game enders from the Mathmech deck. There is no Terahertz anymore. There now also is no Axis Code Talker anymore. Both usually being one-offs within the deck, and therefore Matrix, even if he has another Cybers monster here to play with, is going to struggle closing out the game eventually.
Exactly, yeah. All the big bodies are now gone from the extra deck. I think there might still be a Firewall Dragon here and there.
Just a regular one, you mean?
Yeah.
If they do play it, that can happen. Normal summon Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, though. That's a Psychic monster, and that means the options to go into here are limited. Maybe we just link it off to make it a Cybers monster. Indeed, we do. Good old honorable Salamangreat monster. I actually want to see. I want to see some Salamangreat. I mean, if that's all the Salamangreat I can get for today, I'm also alright with it. But Salamangreat, another deck that I really like and hope to see eventually. But Matrix immediately going to link it off alongside the Mathmech Subtraction for Splash Mage, which does require 2 Cybers monsters, so we had to take the extra step of going into the Almirage there. But there is still the Firewall Defender waiting in the graveyard. That's huge, because now we will get to link it off, and that is going to provide us with plenty more Cybers monsters to link into. Now the question, though, becomes...
what do we go into?
Yeah, what is the ultimate goal here? And that shows you that Alex really had a good plan there as well, right? He was like, I don't care about going after Splash Mage or something. I'll just go for the stuff that is going to supposedly end the game. And then if we can rule that out, I'm probably off to a good start. I mean, I think we have enough materials here, though, to possibly go for something like Transcode Talker, co-linked with a Heat Soul or something like that, which ain't bad either.
I think we will go for the Heat Soul sooner or later, because it already can point to the Snake Eye Poplar, which will make it go to 2800 attack, which can run over something.
Yeah.
But I think the Heat Soul alone is not enough. You have to make sure that your opponent has no follow-up. And the Kashira Bird is already follow-up.
Transcode is also pretty good, I believe, so that you have 2 monsters that can attack. But yeah, you're making a really good point. You do have to have something that gets rid of opponents' cards as well. And that's not really what the Mathmech extra deck monsters are doing. The only one that really does that is usually going to be Access Code Talker. That one is gone, as we just said. So we will have to do it without it. Link Decoder was used for the Link Summon of a Link 3 or higher monster, so it can return to the field. And we will be now also using Transcode Talker momentarily, I would imagine, to bring back Splash Mage as well.
So another option that we can go for is to go for Heat Soul, as I said, and just use the effect Draw and Hope. I think there are a lot of top decks that you actually have.
Which one would that be, though?
You can draw Circular. You can draw a way to get another level 4 body, for example, with the Mathmech Reborn card.
Yeah.
And then you can go into a rank 4, searching your Circular. I think there are some ways, and I think I would risk it personally. I feel like there's not many other options.
I mean, you could also try to just go into Laplacian, and Laplacian then would at least be able to also get rid of the Kashtira Birth, right? So trying to set up as many level 4 monsters as possible is something I could totally see as well. So we do go for the Heat Soul. Now, noteworthy, Heat Soul and Transcode Talker here, both pretty big at this point already. So we do have monsters to contest the opponent's field, but we also somewhat want to contest the opponent's spell and trap cards here.
And I'm still wondering what the last face down spell trap card could be. I don't think it's an Infinite Impermanence that would have been used on a Splash Mage earlier.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Could be Crossout Designator. I don't think it's called by the Grave either.
Yeah, I could see Crossout Designator. That's a good call.
Crossout
Designator makes sense. Maybe it is something that it could be simple spoils of subversion because there was no really good moment to use that on the last turn. I could imagine that, but there's just not very many. Oh, it is the infinite permanence.
It's impermanent. Interesting.
Held it for super long there. Strong timing by Alex because that is a vulnerable moment for Matrix right now.
And we also didn't co-link the Golem Crystal Heart with the Soul.
I mean, then it could have not activated its effect, so we weren't really able to do that in the first place. Now it has to be the battle phase instead, and now we don't even have a monster big enough to contest the Witch anymore, so we just crash into the Witch there. Matrix, is that just going to be our way of saying goodbye in this match? Are we going to do it on our own terms here? Are we attacking into the opponent's monsters? No, not yet. We're attacking over the Snake Eye Ash, first of all, and now the G Golem Crystal Heart. Oh, hold on. In the battle phase, we use Heat Soul. Using the secondary effect of it because our life points drop below 3000. Update Jammer being summoned out, which of course has that strong graveyard effect, but it also actually does have an on-field effect to negate all other cards until the end of this. Okay, we're attacking over the Unicorn. We didn't use the effect though. We could have negated everything until the end of the damage step, which arguably is not that good anyways. Okay, so we pass it back over to Alex. 1,000 life points blinking up there for Matrix. That is not a whole lot to protect him here. So Alex, basically all he needs to do is go into the battle phase. We're starting things off by using Kashtira Birth to bring back a Unicorn. Better be safe than sorry. Is that now the moment we head into the battle phase?
Yeah, exactly. I think here you just have to make sure that you use all your effects, don't play into Nibiru, and then just go for game in the battle phase.
Alright, that is already it though. Alex 0000. Huge threat in all those Challenger Cups, especially in those that have an IRL event to qualify for. Is going to try once more here in this 1v1 version of this to qualify for that Invitational in March. And he's still off to a super good start. Matrix, though, still in contention. He doesn't have to give up just yet. Top 32 is quite a number. You can still reach it even with one loss. I think even 2 losses might be possible. So no reason to give up just yet. Matrix probably still a contender for top cut and for the eventual win still.
Yeah, so I think we just saw how good the Kashtira cards were. Even though we didn't combo off, just getting rid of the 2 extra deck monsters face down. Just probably decided the game, honestly. I think Matrix had the chance to go into a huge rank Link 4 or Link 5. But we just denied that with the Unicorn, and I think it just shows how good the cards are, even with like that limited list. Like
it's so funny too, right? That we just talked about the Kashtira cards right before. We didn't know, like, trust us, we didn't know what kind of feature match we're going to get. And then we're seeing first thing first, Kashtira Unicorn being summoned. That was irony. That was irony for sure. But yeah. Maybe that's now the trend. Maybe we're going to see way more Kashtira cards, and we can confirm that thesis right away as we're heading into the next match here out of our round 4.
Maybe there will be more Kashtira cards.
More Kashtira cards to come. You never know. Into the match we go. Let's see. And we have Haas again going first here. Oh my, I love this. Boss is playing the... Oh, I love this a lot. Boss is actually running the 60 card Sky Striker Infernoid deck. I've played against this deck before. It's a beautiful one.
But you know what's so cool about it? Boss already is qualified.
True, he can be chill.
Yeah,
he can
play
so
whatever
chill.
he wants. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to win this tournament to go to the tournament in March.
You are right. You are very right. And still has that task to do. He still has to win today to make it happen. He wants to make top card once more. He has been usually doing. But he is trying to do that still with the strategy that is Fire King Snake Eye. And using the Zombie Vampire against an Infernoid deck is not really the greatest strategy. Let's see. Okay, it's just 4 spell cards that he gave him there.
It's probably not even that bad, if you ask me.
That immediately, I mean, yeah, that makes you start the turn with a live Widow Anchor to take monsters, and also with a live Sharkin to take cards as well. Okay, we banished one of these spells in the graveyard, which was the Void Recognition. That's not that crazy of a field though. Pawnings in the standby phase, activating the Maxi too. Boss hand. What a boss hand to have there, honestly. The cool interaction here is we can Widow Anchor take the SP Little Knight and then tribute it for Monster Gate, man. Oh, we're not going to do that though. We're just setting 2 cards. Not ready to commit into a Maxi there. Now using the Fire King Island for Haas. Avatar is being searched. Garunix triggering in the graveyard. Kirin triggering in the graveyard as well. Shark Cannon going to prevent the Garunix from coming back. and the Widow Anchor is going to make sure the Little Knight is switching sides here.
I think I personally would have made sure to play this last turn, because Has already has Alan set up. We know he has fire cards in hand with the Ponix.
Yeah.
I think we just had to play into the maxi. Our hand was really good.
Yeah, it looked enormously good. I agree, for sure. But also well done by Has to actually use the Maxi in Standby phase, because we see there is a triple Tactic Talons waiting in the hand from boss. I think Has might have seen another triple Tactic Talons in the graveyard being sent there by Zombie Vampire, so he immediately made the adjustment to play around it by using the Maxi in the Standby phase there. Now we go for Snake Ash, grabbing Poplar. And as you have been saying, it might have been a dangerous task to do, a dangerous thing to do here, to allow Has just having another turn, because Has sees there is basically no hand interaction. That is a breaker deck, this 60-card Infernoid deck with Sky Striker cards. When you see Striker cards, very rarely you're going to have any cards like Ash Blossom, like Nibiru and all that, so you can just freely play, freely execute, freely attack for game. Has is still going strong in this, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, Has yesterday losing together with Quantal, and I think they're on a maybe still as a team somewhat, right? Because yesterday they teamed up, but today they might still be in the same Discord call, checking up on each other in every round, being like, hey, what up? Let's go, let's play another round, let's win. Quantal and Has are still in this together somewhat, even though they have to play on their own today.
Yeah, so I texted Quantal yesterday asking why he lost that early, because I was surprised. I thought he might take it home.
All the way, of course.
Yeah, and he told me that he will take it home today at least.
Okay, okay.
Couldn't do it yesterday, we'll do it today. But yeah, talking about this game, as I said before, I think you just have to commit when you're playing against Fire King, because the Fire King strategy is so explosive.
Yeah.
And that, I think it costed him the game. He could have maybe won, he would have maybe lost anyway, but I think to have a chance, you had to do that.
If you want to have a chance, you have to sometimes try. So let's see what Chris and Red Hot are trying here in this, as we have a set 2 from Red Hot to lead off this game. So I think this is a replay that we are catching up on right now. So we're going to... This game is still ongoing right now. It's still live, but we're need to get to that point first of all. So we're catching up on all the action that already happened. So this is going fast now. Maxi from Red Hot. And is that just going to be... It's Fire King versus something unknown for the moment.
It could be Labyrinth.
It could be
Labyrinth.
It could very well be. All right. Fire King Skyburn always is a good card to search when your opponent has set cards there in their spell and trap zone. Also, of course, when you already have Fire King Sanctuary. I think we did, yeah. Now, setting original Sinful Spores and going into the battle phase. Not ready to go into any more special summons. And in the battle phase now, we are going to use... Oh, it is Trap Trick. That is a trap deck. So it could be Labyrinth. It could also be... Oh, my! Shady. Can we resolve it, though?
I'm not sure. I think we can with the Diabald Star.
Doing the math. Simultaneous Equation Cannon in the battle phase. Setting Ice Strength's Prison above the Trap Trick. No, it resolved already. Yeah, okay. We couldn't resolve it properly. So that's the thing. You can always activate the Simultaneous Equation Cannon, but then it's optional to actually banish the opponent's field. So... as it would have been destroyed there, Red Hot was like, let me activate it, why not? Let's see whether it works. But it did not work out eventually, as the total cards on the field were not amounting to the required cards that he needed to resolve the card. Okay, Ice Strength's Prison now, getting rid of Garudix and the Ponix.
So all of a sudden, Red Hot is in such a good position where he will start his turn with 8 cards in hand, and Chris has no more Garunix in his deck, I believe. I think you only play one. And there is the Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
Absolutely. And I think, from what I'm seeing, we're still not live in this, but I think they're getting closer and closer to timeout here in this, as the round timer should have already been very close to the 20-minute mark. For the people at home that are seeing a Challenger Cup for the first time, 20 minutes is the amount of time you have per round. And we now have the Flamberge Dragon sending that Lord there into the Spell and Trap Zone. And I mean, so far we see that Chris is very much up in life points, so it might, even though Red Hot having 11 cards in hand there, casually, it might just still be Chris coming out on top due to those timeout regulations.
The thing is, the Labyrinth deck also, even if it draws like its entire deck, probably cannot do anything.
You can only set 5, right?
only
There's
set
only 5
there.
zones to fill with.
But I think Red Hot is playing a more furniture-heavy version with also Arias, as we just saw. So
Yeah.
that version obviously can do more than just set 5. I don't know if Chris was aware of that.
Maybe Chris is also just trying to deck out here. Look, he's giving them so many draws. The deck size of Red Hot is going down significantly. I don't think the deck has that many more special summons available, though, right?
I
There's
think
Amber Whale.
this has to be it.
Yeah, that is it. So Red Hot, no more effects in the end phase. Back over to them. Oh, immediate lava golem over those two. That's nice, but still we're going to replace another fire monster onto the field. Chris still has those available. Now another Arias here. Setting Welcome Labyrinth.
Yeah, I believe you have to just go for the push here right now because you're probably short on time. You're down in life points, so you have to play more aggressive. There's still the Promethean Princess.
Alright, so we're going to use Linkuriboh to bring back Promethean Princess to destroy the Lava Golem there. Funnily enough, we gave our opponent a fire monster with the Lava Golem as well in the first place. Now going to go for another Lava Golem. I mean, there's so many cards in hand. But of course, you can still summon more Lava Golems per turn with ease. Okay, that's
only
1,000 points of damage.
1,000 points of damage.
Alright, so...
Keyring going for a back row, and then here's a Solemn Strike.
Bringing us down even more in life points. So the difference between Red Hot and Chris is quite significant. And that is probably going to be the announcement of timeout. I'm not sure. Either Chris was just scooping because he knew there is no more way that he can actually win this game, or timeout was announced and they clarified through Discord that Chris is the winner, because I mean, Chris was ahead in life points and they were pretty close to timeout. So I could see that being the case,
I
actually.
think that's also what happened, I think, in the Tempai Mirror match.
Oh, possibly. You
Yeah,
might... Oh,
yeah, I think that was also the case in the Tempai Mirror match that we had last round.
True.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about that, because usually with Tenpai, you're never ever even close to the 20-minute mark with your games. But in that mirror match, it might have actually been the case.
Exactly. Yeah, I think if the equation cannon would have resolved, I think the game would have seen a different direction.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the tricky part about the simultaneous equation cannon, especially on Master Duelists, that you see, okay, I can activate it. The game asks me to, if I want to activate it.
Let's go.
And if I don't know that I can use it every time, even though I'm not banishing cards on the field, I might just use it by accident and just don't resolve the effect fully.
That is true. No accident, of course, though, that we're going to continue with this tournament very, very shortly. We're going to go on a very short break, but we will be back with round number 5 afterwards. And it's going to be Emre and Ibris for that, so don't go anywhere. Your round 5 is coming after one pack video.
Welcome back, everybody, to round 5 of the Challenger Cup 1000 Days qualifier. I'm here with Emre. My name is Ibris. I'm very happy to be joining you here, Emre.
Yeah, I'm so happy as well that you're back, finally casting with you again after a long day one yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just saw 4 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! And we haven't seen any gimmick puppet yet.
Indeed, we have not. But even so, we've seen a lot of cool stuff regardless. Labyrinth in particular, I know, an important deck for you, something you're very passionate about, and it has been doing fantastically. Simultaneous equation cannons, we mentioned yesterday how impactful that was. We saw in this previous game how not impactful it can be sometimes if you get the math wrong or if you're forced to use it at an inopportune time. High risk, high reward, we love to see it.
Yeah, so you always have to be aware of the count of every card that's actually in play in both hands and both fields. And I think if you like resolve the card a few times, it's like basic math. You'll just get used to it. Sometimes you don't even think about it. Like if I ask myself what's 9 multiplied by 9, I don't even count in my head anymore. I just know the result, you know? So I think that's the same with simultaneous equation cannon. The more people that get used to it by playing it will resolve it more.
Yeah.
And it's something that might look a bit weird when you play it for the first time, as we just saw last round. But yeah.
So something else we were seeing for the first time there was the use of the Sky Striker cards in this tournament. Can you tell me a bit more about that? I know you're teammates with Josh. Everyone knows you're teammates with Josh, and how much he loves the Sky Strikers and how much Lampy also loves that theme.
Oh my god. They love Ray. Yeah, so the Sky Striker strategy is something that's heavily spell-based.
Yep.
Also, they have all of the Sky Striker normal spell cards have 2 effects. One regular effect and one additional effect that they get if you have 3 or more spell cards in your graveyard.
Yep.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to fill up your graveyard with spell cards. For example, Upstart Goblin is a really popular card for that. It just is a spell card in the graveyard, and it just draws you a card.
Yeah, it essentially replaces itself while placing a spell in the graveyard. We also saw the likes of your Monster Gate, which would, of course, take spells from your deck and put them in the graveyard until you hit a monster that could be summoned. Now, while that didn't necessarily work out, are there any other strategies that you're thinking might make an appearance despite being more unconventional compared to the likes of your Snake Eye Fire King, your Yubel, and your Tenpai Dragon that we've seen so much of so far this tournament and in yesterday's tournament as well?
Yeah, so we just saw the Monster Gate being in the hand of the Sky Striker Infernoid player. And I believe Infernoid, while it struggles to get the ball rolling, once it gets rolling, it's really scary to play against.
Another one that really loves just placing stuff in the graveyard.
Exactly, yeah. So combining that with the Sky Striker engine, I think is a really good idea. You can just maybe use the Hornet drones to go for a link, search a spell, distribute it off with Monster Gate, and then you can mill as many cards as you want, and then you fill up your graveyard, you can special summon your Infernoid cards, and then you can just start from your engine.
And we saw that Sky Striker Infernoid in the previous round, but now it is round 5. We're seeing Joey Kuzan again here, playing off against Nishi Boy on the Snake Eye Fire King.
Yeah, Nicky Boy is a regular in the Challenger Cup series, a really, really strong player, known for playing a lot of Rescue Ace against Joey Kuzan, who's also a regular in the Challenger Cup series. So we are going to special summon the Link Karibo of the Poplar. We didn't use Poplar's effect, so I would assume we already have the original Sinful Spoils in hand, which we do.
So typically when I see the Link Karibo, it suggests to me that we're climbing to an eventual SP Little Knight to get the banish, but of course when you're playing on turn 1, it's a little bit riskier. But actually, not even Snake Eye Fire King, rather Rescue Ace. Infinite Impermanence now running interference on that Hydrant, however.
So yeah, Rescue Ace is a strategy that was more popular back in the day, that got a little bit replaced by the Fire King card. But I know Nicky Boy for a fact loves the Rescue Ace strategy, and if there is someone that can pilot the deck really well, it has to be him. And with the emergency, he is dodging the Infinite Impermanence by special summoning another Rescue Ace monster.
And then tributing the target of the Hydrant, which was initially there. Yeah. So, Turbulence now coming as well does suggest we will replace that emergency with a lot of Rescue Ace spells and traps.
Yeah. So what you are going for is here, you always want to stop the Turbulence. But if you get to the, if the Rescue Ace player gets to the point where they have SP Little Knight and Turbulence on the field, then Effect Veiler doesn't work, because you can just use the effect of Turbulence. If there's an Effect Veiler on the Turbulence, you can train SP Little Knight. And if you are smart enough to Veiler the Turbulence before the SP Little Knight hits the field, you can link both off into a Promethean Princess and then special summon the Turbulence again.
Yeah, the recurrence of the strategy there. Rescue Ace Headquarters being added there off of that as well. Just further reinforcing the strategy here. And as you said, a little bit more unconventional, but already hitting 5 summons. Nibiru, the primal being now the follow-up. I've seen decks utilize the Link Spider off of the token to access another effect monster to further Link climb. But do we see a response here? Rescue Ace Preventer being about as good a follow-up as any.
Yeah. So I think there are still ways to get into the Turbulence. For example, you can link off the Preventer to then special summon the Turbulence, I believe. We'll see if Nicky Boy goes for that here. The Nibiru is usually turn endings, but not for the Rescue Ace strategy.
Not for the Rescue Ace, indeed. We do actually, as you mentioned, see the link off. Important to note that the token does function as a normal monster, but that's okay. IP Masquerena says, okay, just need 2 non-link monsters for the materials there. Rescue Ace Preventer, as you mentioned, would in turn summon back the Rescue Ace Turbulence, which could in turn set up the quick play spells and normal traps from the Rescue Ace team. Just to the spell and trap card zone here. Extinguish for 1.
It should be Extinguish, Alert, another emergency maybe.
Contain
also a really good trap card. And with Headquarter in hand already, I think this looks pretty good for Nicky Boy. Rescue as well.
Where do we go with the IP Masquerena from here? Is it the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, or is it something else?
So I think you could theoretically just pass on this, because an IP Masquerena is always strong. You just risk your opponent going to the battle phase, attacking over it before doing anything. But that would assure us to have another turn. So I think leaving the IP on the board is not even that bad here, honestly. We'll see if Nicky Boy decides to link it off.
Indeed, and of course if that does get resolved in the opponent's turn with the IP Masquerena in turn climbing to the SP Little Knight, could be very interesting. But Rescue Ace Headquarters now resolving.
Yeah, it recycles 4 Rescue Ace cards that are banished or in the graveyard. You can shuffle them back into your deck and then draw a card. Just a really strong effect. It gives you follow-up for the next turn as well. Maybe you can draw a hand trap to like have an additional interruption. And we're just gonna set 1 more card. As I said, leave the IP on the field because it's another form of interruption, which forces the opponent to go into the battle phase. So I think this is a really, really good opener here.
The Rescue Ace spells and traps actually also functioning as disruption here, so really, really difficult for Joey Kuzan to establish any kind of field here. Emergency going to trigger here.
Yeah, so we're going for the Hydrant and probably getting rid of the Turbulence on the field. The reason why we do that here is that the Rescue Ace spell and traps also, like the Sky Striker cards, have additional effects when you control the Hydrant.
Okay, yeah. Now, because of the Infinite Impermanence and the Nibiru, the Primal Being, Joey Kuzan started this turn at 3 cards. Of course, did draw 1 additional one, but right now, Nicky Boy, his field, his graveyard, all set up. Even if he only has 1 card in hand, things are looking very good for him.
Yeah. So, Nicky Boy... Yeah, so Joey Kuzan goes into the battle phase, and Nicky Boy didn't want to use IP Masquerena's effect, which I think is the correct choice. If you use IP's effect, Joey has the option to stay in the main phase and then continue his plays. So I think let him go into the battle phase is correct. We use Extinguish, which will pop the Nibiru.
So, of course, by removing the Hydrant from the field, a lot of these secondary effects of the Rescue Ace cards would have been shut off. So, prioritizing the defense of that with the Extinguish, as you correctly mentioned here.
And we are playing Tenpai, interestingly enough. So this might be a bit scary. We are already in battle phase, which is something you don't want your Tenpai opponent to be.
Yeah.
And I think the only form of interruptions now are Contain, which is a monster negate. And it also says that while Hydrant's on the field, that the monster that being negated cannot be used as a material for the extra deck, or as a synchro material.
So Genroku being added here means that we will see the Tenpai Dragon Chundra being summoned.
Yeah, this is also a really nice form of
and then Genroku will in turn summon itself.
Yeah, if you have a Tenpai card that's not Genroku already in hand, you can search Genroku, special summon something else with Kaiman. It doesn't need to special summon the card that you just added.
Yeah.
And then after the chain resolved, you can trigger your Genroku to special summon itself because of its own effect.
And we see now Contain on Tundra. I'm not sure if that's enough.
So even if the Rescue Ace disruptions are there, all of them are known to Joey Kuzan right now, and therefore you can strategize, you can think about a way around this. Going to have the Genroku actually go 0 into the 500 defense of the Rescue Ace Hydrant, but that's an attack declaration, that's part of the battle phase, and that is Genroku tributing itself.
And there is the Rescue Ace Impulse tributing itself or discarding itself. The special summon probably...
Call by the Grave?
Call by the Grave is really strong. It was the only unknown card that Nicky Boy had, because remember we set 4 cards and then just set a 5th card from our hand.
Yep.
And the call by is here really strong. And I think the Impulse will probably just usually get the Fire Hydra, I believe it's called. The one that draws 2 and discards 1, but since we're not adding anything from the deck, I think we're just going for Preventer because it's also follow-up and another form of interruption.
Now we're out of the battle phase, so the Tenpai Dragon deck a lot less scary here.
Yeah, here also you can consider using the IP Masquerader to get rid of the Spell and Trap card, because that just might be a Kaiman which would be super annoying to deal with the next turn. I think we're going for the face down card here, but we could also just go for the Tundra if we have no other way to interact with it.
SP Little Knight having a Link monster as material does mean we access that Banish there, able to remove that spell or trap card, and therefore it's now just the Tenpai Dragon Tundra on the field of Joey Kuzan. But can Nicky Boy make the comeback here? He's looking okay, he has some semblance of a field left over, but can he build it out to one that will finish the game in this turn?
I think so, because Nicky decided to banish the spell and trap card that was set by Joey Kuzan.
Yep.
I think if he had no way to deal with the Tenpai Dragon Tundra, he would have gone for the Tundra to make sure that the biggest threat on the board is gone. But the face down card seems to be a bigger threat for him. And now we're going to use Emergency's effect in the graveyard.
DD Crow.
To target a trap, spell, trap, and to reset it. And we could have used that in the same turn because of Hydrant. But the DD Crow is hitting the graveyard, banishing the Contain.
Do we have another target aside from the Contain?
I think there was...
I guess not, actually.
There are other targets. Extinguish is also in the graveyard, but that doesn't really matter. We're just going to recycle everything once again with our Headquarter to draw another card. And we also have 2 normal summons still there. And there's the Preventer. I think this is game, honestly. Banishing the Turbulence. We can link off the Preventer, special summon the Turbulence to reset 4 cards from our deck.
There is the Link summon.
Yeah, so we go for the Promethean Princess. The Preventer should trigger here, bringing back the Turbulence. And even if we don't go for game here, we can just reset 4 cards from our deck, as I said earlier, and that's just so strong. And with no cards on the field and in the hand, I don't think any card can beat 4 face downs.
Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames will bring back the Rescue Ace Impulse. Tenpai Dragon Tundra looks to be removed pretty shortly as well.
Yeah, Rescue will now target the Preventer to special summon it. We could have also targeted the card in the opponent's graveyard because we have Hydrant on the field to special summon that. But I think that's already game on board.
And even though the Tenpai got that turn 2, it is the Rescue Ace deck from Nicky Boy that is able to take it. It is the Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames that is finishing the game here. And it is the Rescue Ace deck that claims a victory over Tenpai Dragon.
Yeah, so the Rescue Ace deck, I think we should talk about that first.
Yep.
The Rescue Ace deck is a deck that has a really good matchup against the Tenpai Dragon deck itself, because if you get to resolve your Turbulence, it's good for Tenpai. The only way they can interact with that are mass removals such as Lightning Storm, Heavy Storm, or Harpy's Heradaster.
Yeah.
But if they don't get to those cards in their opening hand, I just don't see a way for them to out the card. And also, the Rescuers deck just has so many ways to get into their turbulence. Not even once. I think they can summon it up to 3 or 4 times with like the Promethean Princess by itself with Preventer. It's just really hard to deal with.
Yeah, I can imagine that actually. Having seen the way that played out, just the sheer resilience of the Rescue A strategy as well, being able to constantly cycle from the graveyard, draw a card. You mentioned very similar to Sky Striker in a way, where it's to have the spells and traps in the graveyard, and also to have the Hydrant on the field to get the additional effect on all of those spells and traps as well.
But we have another game here, and we have the Ice Barrier strategy, something we haven't seen this weekend, right?
Indeed. Now we have the Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier actually resolving here. The tokens are there. The Synchro Summoning is available. Coral Dragon. That is a card draw.
Yeah, so I think we are now going for a combo that lets the Ice Barrier Dragon deck draw a lot of cards in their first turn. If Coral Dragon gets synchroed off, you can draw a card.
Is that Deep Sea Diva and Danger Bigfoot in the hand of Masatoshi, by the way?
It is Deep Sea Diva, Eater of Millions, Danger Bigfoot, Foolish Burial, and the Kaiju Mask Removal card.
Very, very interesting. And actually also interesting is, of course, Ice Jade Jimmy Egorin, because, of course, that is one of the cards that was looked at as a potential answer to Tailorments when it comes to manipulating the graveyard. It does a really, really good job at shutting that off. Lancia, Ancestral Dragon of the Ice Barrier, one of the more recent additions to that deck.
And
fantastic, and that is a classic.
One of my favorite cards ever, Trishula the Ice Barrier Dragon, getting summoned, banishing a card from the hand, and
is it hand, field, and graveyard?
It is hand, field, and graveyard, but other than the Necros of Trishula, you can just banish one. The Necros one has to banish all to resolve. And we're just seeing how strong the Ice Barrier strategy is. It is a strategy that was released, I think, a few months ago.
So, yeah, that Lancia was a fairly recent addition.
Exactly. And whenever I play against it, I always struggle against it. I don't know why. It is one of those decks that you sometimes face on ladder. And whenever I face them, the people playing that deck, they're just experts on the deck. They really love the deck. And once they set up the Lancia, it is really hard to deal with because that will go into a Trishula, and we all know how strong Trishula is.
Yep.
And if you get Trishula, the game is often just over, as we just saw.
So the thing that interests me about that deck is that it's not strict negation per se, but it's just denial of resources when it comes to removing from the hand, removing from the graveyard, and honestly, it plays very unique in comparison to some other decks.
Yeah, so the main deck monsters, some of them have a floodgate-ish effect, where some of them say you can't tribute any card. You can only, I think, use one or spell trap card in one turn. So they really make you think on how you can play against the strategy, because you are really limited and you just have to find the exact way to beat that board. And sometimes even if you find a good way to beat the board, you just lose against the follow-up like a Trishula coming out of nowhere. And I think there's also a second Trishula, the Zero. I think there's a Trishula Zero Synchro Monster that's also really hard to deal with. I think it banishes 3 cards from the field.
Okay.
And if you get hit with that, I think there's just almost no way to come back.
So the fact we're seeing Ice Barrier in round 5 of this is really promising to me.
Yeah, it just shows that the deck is something that always is underlooked, but still a really strong deck. But we also have another game to look at.
We do indeed. We saw your standard Snake Eye Fire King. We saw Tenpai Dragon fall to Rescue Ace. We saw Ice Barrier do things, and now actually, I believe this is Live Twin.
The theme of the 1000 Day Challenger Cup Series this time, right?
Indeed. Nice one.
And the hand is really strong. We have a starter, which will get Veiler here, I think, or not. Okay, we let that.
Well, I mean, if Veiler does come through, you do have the triple tactics talent to follow up on that to get the insurance. And actually, gigantic sprite now. We saw the sprite with the U-Bell engine earlier, but this is all level 2 monsters so far, including the Maxi in hand, by the way. So the sprite stuff is doing work, but so is that Effect Veiler now. But as we said, once the Effect Veiler comes through, triple tactics talent. Sangen Kaimen sent back to the deck. The only starter in the hand of Fanchar now denied. Plush Fire 5 looking good, and Fanchar did draw into an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. There's a lot of disruption there, but there is not much else.
Yeah, so the Ash Blossom is just another way to give you one more turn because it's healed with the Gigantic Sprite. Interestingly enough, the Gigantic Sprite doesn't detach for a cost. Other than a lot of other XYZ monsters. But we drew another starter with the
Live Twin Kisa kill.
Exactly. And we're going for a Zeus here now. Or first a downward magician going into a Zeus, but we should not forget that the Zeus should be in defense position because of the Lightning Storm that we are aware about. We saw that in his opening hand with the Triple Tactics talent.
There you go, correctly read.
But it's right there.
Honestly, yes, and seeing the Live Twin sprite, you know, earlier in the day we mentioned the Duel sprite, just seeing these unconventional decks come together as engine pieces to then form something cohesive deep into the tournament in round 5 is really, really impressive. And again, just credit to these players for bringing so much variety to the table here today.
The Sprite strategy is a deck that is just really strong overall. I think it's really hard to interact with because sometimes even 3 hand traps are not enough because you can just special summon them from the hand. But you know what, Impris? You know I love Yu-Gi-Oh!
I know you love Yu-Gi-Oh!
I want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's see another game. I love Yu-Gi-Oh!
I know you love Yu-Gi-Oh!
I want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's see another game.
Let's indeed see another game here as we have Berlin Mario versus Rabbit here. Snake Eye, maybe Fire King with Bonfire being used here, versus 10 Pie Dragon. This is the matchup of the tournament so far, and it looks like the Snake Eye player is doing their thing on turn 1.
Yeah, so Rabbit has a really, really, really strong hand. He has Raigeki and Heavy Storm.
Yeah, destroy all monsters and destroy all spell and traps.
Yeah, and we also have Nibiru, which could make sure that Mario will not be able to establish a
I think the Symbol Being is now live in the hand.
The thing is, we made our opponent special summon Flamberge, which is always an insurance against Nibiru. So maybe we're just holding Nibiru. I think we have to Nibiru here.
So Borrowed Savage Dragon is actually a form of disruption as well, but here comes the Nibiru.
Just resolve. So now the Flamberge will trigger, and also the Temple will trigger.
Divine Temple of Snake Eye does trigger indeed, and as you mentioned, Snake Eye's Flamberge Dragon can set up a response here. We have the Nibiru token, we could potentially link that off, but Dire Bellstar, the Black Witch, is going to come back